All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praise and power go to the Most High God, Yahweh, for surely His mercy endure forever. I'm Captain Montezak,
Officer Yashar.
and we're going to begin the Friday history class. The Friday history class, right? First and foremost, we're going to rise and face the east with the blowing of the shofar. We're going to begin the prayer, the blessing of the Shabbat day in the ancient Hebrew. Repeat the Hebrew only. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Blessed be Yahweh in the name of anointed Yahweh Shai that giveth the Shabbat in peace. Baruch Yahweh,
Baruch Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
How on the Thanawa,
How are all the Thun hour?
Ha-Shabbath,
Ha-Shabbath.
Ba-Shalawam.
Ba-Shalom.
Blessed be Yahweh in the name of anointed Yahweh Shai that giveth us the law. Baruch Yahweh,
Baruch Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
How on the Thanawa,
How are all the Thun hour?
Ha-Thorah,
Ha-Thurah.
Salakia. Blessed be Yahweh in the name of anointed Yahweh Shai that give us the light to see. Baruch Yahweh,
Baruch Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
Nathanawa Ha-Salakia. How on the Thanawa,
How are all the Thun hour?
Ha-Awar,
Ha-Awar.
Laka'a.
La-Kra'ah.
Blessed be Yahweh in the name of anointed Yahweh Shai that give us the ram's horn to call the people. Baruch Yahweh,
Baruch Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
How on the Thanawa,
How are all the Thun hour?
Ha-Awar,
Ha-Awar.
Ha-Yo,
Ha-Ayo.
Quran,
Koran.
Laqra'a,
La-Kra'ah.
Ha'ain.
Ha-Ayin.
Salakia. Blessed be Yahweh in the name of anointed Yahweh Shai that give us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Baruch Yahweh,
Baruch Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
How on the Thanawa,
How are all the Thun hour?
Ha-Shaman,
Ha-Shaman.
Zayaf,
Zayaf.
Lamashak,
Lamashak.
Yashar Allah,
Yasharallah.
Bahashem,
Bahashem.
Amasiak,
Hamashiach.
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai.
the water,
The water.
Yad,
From Yad.
Aman.
Amen.
The reading of Psalms 121 in the English, the blessing of Shabbat day.
The book of Psalms, the 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, the water of the yard. Amen.
Amen. The Lord's Prayer on the Lashon Kodash, repeat the Hebrew.
Abanawa.
Abanawa,
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim,
Kodash.
Kodash,
Haya.
Haya,
Shamka.
Shamka,
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Malakwathka.
Malakwazka,
Saba'ah.
Taba'a,
Ratazaika.
Ratazaika,
Haya.
Haya,
Aisha.
Aisha,
Barataza.
Baratiza,
Lakam.
Lakam,
Salakia. Kawahaya. Kawahaya. Kawa. Haya. Bashamayim. Lathaninawa.
Fanawa,
Lakam.
Lakam,
Kayawam.
Hayawam,
Wasalakinawa.
Wasalaknawa,
Kawafinawa.
Kabwafinawa,
Kasalakinawa.
Kasalaknawa,
Kabawafinawa.
Kabwafinawa,
Wala'a.
Wala'a,
Dabrainawa.
Tabiyanawa,
Banasaiwan.
Bansai one,
Abo.
Abo,
Habashainawa.
Awashainawa,
Mayan.
Mayan,
Rai.
Rai,
Kaya.
Haya,
Laka.
Laka,
Malakwath.
Hamalakwa,
Wala'ala.
Wa'ala,
Walatai Porath.
Wafaifarat,
Walawalumnian.
Lawalanyam.
Ba'ashem. Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the water of the yard. Amen.
Amen. The book of St. Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For forgive them their trespasses, your heavenly Father also forgive you. So like it. Your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But forgive men not their trespasses, now will your Father forgive your trespasses. Abanah Yahweh Shema Sekawashai, Thawara, Thamyad, Amen.
Amen.
All praise and power go to the Most High God, Yahweh, for showing His mercy endure forever. We thank you, O Most High, for allowing us the spirit of knowledge, the spirit of Zakar, Yahweh, the spirit of remembrance, to allow us to remember who we are and what we ought to do in these last days, O Yahweh. I pray unto Yahweh you send forth that righteous spirit of healing and protection, O Yahweh. The spirit of Gabar Ya'ala, Gabriel, O Yahweh. The spirit of Rapar Ya'ala, the spirit of Raphael, O Yahweh. The spirit of healing and protection, O Yahweh, to all 12 tribes of Israel. For the so-called black, Latino, indigenous, Indians, Native Americans, and the diaspora of our people scattered across the four corners of this earth, O Yahweh. I pray unto Yahweh you continue to do thy will and gather them together. And I pray unto Yahweh, you send forth a righteous spirit of vengeance on our enemies, O Yahweh, of a righteous, grievous, evil spirit on our enemies, O Yahweh, and unto all these nations, O Yahweh. I pray unto Yahweh that glory, that righteousness, the things written in thy scriptures come to pass, O Yahweh, that we take the kingdom, O Yahweh, and we rule the kingdom, O Yahweh, and all these nations serve us, O Yahweh. But I pray unto Yahweh, you put that spirit of humility, O Yahweh, that we may submit ourselves to thy commandments, submit ourselves to thy will and not our own, O Yahweh. So we may be prepared for that time of rulership, O Yahweh, which is coming, O Yahweh. And all this I say in the name of thy anointed Son, Amashiach Yahawashi, Thawara, Thamyad, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Hey, do me a favor. Turn that screen. Go down there and turn that screen for me. Turn it like more this direction. Oh. I'll wait till you go past. Keep going. Now turn it like. You know what? That's fine. That's actually fine. No, that's good. There you go. You know, all praises. Once again, I'm Captain Montezak of LOZ, and
Officer Yashar.
all praises to the Most High God. So we're allowed to stay here again and go over the Friday history class, go over the history of our people. Drinking that good coconut water. You know, a lot of you children of Israel, you're not drinking the right things. A lot of you drinking that soda, that juice, killing ourselves. All right, you gotta drink some electrolytes, get some electrolytes into your body, right? But like I was saying before, we're going into the history class, we're going into the scriptures, and we're getting the information that we could never obtain from our oppressors, well, we could never obtain from our parents, nor from the school system, nor especially that disgusting, slimy place called the Christian church, right? But the information that we've always sought, we were always seeking our whole lives it was right in front of us. It was in the scriptures, right? So first and foremost, let's get Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And as we get in that, let's just do a small recap on where we left off. All right, we left off with Judas Maccabeus and the Maccabee revolt, leading to the point where they wanted to extend allyship, looking for allies, right? Trying to become independent from any of the oppressors that surround them, right? And especially the oppressor that they're trying to be independent from is, Shalom to the children of Israel. Shalom. Big shout out to Captain Kazak, man. Big shout out to Captain Kazak, man. They're trying to get more independency from the Seleucid Empire, right? From the Seleucid Empire. So who did they sought out? They seeked out the Romans. Because the Romans historically already defeated and pushed back against the Seleucid Empire and pushed back against Egypt that was being controlled by a royal family called the Ptolemies, right? Edomite family called the Ptolemies, some Caucasians, right? So with the allyship with the Romans, that'll kind of that'll deter any future direct battles or direct battles that the heathens may come toward us, right? And it was actually it was a nice strong power move that Judas Maccabeus made to get in connection with the Romans, but it ended up overall aiding the Romans, right? You got these Jews here fighting against the Seleucids, weakening them because Judas, as far as we know, Judas has not lost a battle since his father Matthias started this revolt, right? He has not lost a battle, not once yet, right? So right now he's a thorn in the Seleucid Empire. You understand? And you know the old saying, what's that old saying? The enemy of my friend,
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go. What is it?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it was a strong power move, right? So now let's go ahead and read this. Let's go ahead and go to this. Colossians 3:17.
The book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the one, Yahushua, give thanks to power and the Abba by him.
Right. So whatever we do, we have to give all praise and thanks to the Most High God through his anointed son, Amashiach Yahushai. And the second half of this class will be dealing with an event that took place before Judas Maccabeus, before the Maccabean revolt, and a topic that I've been wanting to go into for some time now, which is the creation of the LXX, right? For those in the chat, because I want to be more interactive with y'all, who knows, and don't take too long, and don't Google. Israel love to Google, man. Wicked Israelites, man. Y'all love to Google, man. What is the LXX? Who knows what that is? Blow my mind. What is the LXX? Don't take too long. Listen, what's the time right now? It's 8:29. If I don't have an answer by 8:31, all other answers will be disqualified. You got 2 minutes. What is the LXX? And don't search it up on Google. What is the LXX? Let's see who knows. Let's see. Dumbo. See, look. You see Dumbo? See, look. Give Dumbo a hand, man. Let me double check the time. All right, brother. All praise to the Most High God, man. The LXX is the Septuagint. The Septuagint is the ancient Greek manuscript that a lot of translations that we have today, such as the ESV that Christians love, that's where we get that they use the LXX for a majority of their translation for such translations like the ESV. They use the Greek manuscript called the Septuagint, right? And the Septuagint isn't the only biblical manuscript that we have. We have the Greek, we have the LXX, we have the Masoretic text that comes along more in the medieval times, and then we have also the what's the old boy thing called again? The Dead Sea Scrolls. There you go. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls. But to keep in mind, the Dead Sea Scrolls is not where we get our Bible from, right? The Dead Sea Scrolls is where we collaborate that where the things that the Masoretic text says is true, because for word, the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Masoretic text agree with each other. The Septuagint disagrees with a lot of things that the Masoretic text and the Dead Sea Scrolls says, right? And we're going to go into some examples on things that it disagrees with and where it goes contrary and goes left. And we're going to touch on also historically why the Greek manuscript is such an issue for us as the children of Israel, for the most part. Other Israelites saw it as a good thing because what we was obtaining from it. not directly from it, but what we was obtaining from the person who wanted to be created. And we're going to go into that. But let's go ahead and go to First Maccabees, and let's continue for where we left off. Judas Maccabeus just sent 2 ambassadors out, 2 soldiers from his army to go reach out to the Romans to basically create this allyship with these people. You know, when we became the thorn in the Seleucid Empire's side for these Romans, right, and for our own liberty, the Romans basically later on defeated the Greeks, take them over, and then just go ahead and grab power and became the world power next, right? Just like the prophecy says about the 4 beasts, right? The first was Babylon. The first was Babylon plus Assyria. The second one was the Persians. The next one after that was Persians and Medes. The next one after that is the Greeks. After that, the Romans. And then the kingdom of Christ, right? And if we don't see the kingdom of Christ yet, it means we're still under what? Roman captivity, right? All these different European powers that we see that's in position of power today, they all majority derived from where? The Roman Empire. All right, so let's go ahead and read it. First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 17. Go ahead.
In consideration of these things, Judas chose Eutholomeus, the son of John, the son of Achos, and Jason, son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of enmity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude.
Right, come on.
Verse 19. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate.
You know, it's funny. Like I just spoke about this, about the 4 beasts. What's so funny about the Apocrypha is that outside of the Apocrypha, we don't, outside of prophecy, outside of the Apocrypha, historically, we don't see the 3rd beast, which is mentioned in Daniel's. Let's look at it real quick. Give me the book of Daniel's. The book of Daniel, chapter 7. You can jump down to
8.
No, verse 2.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens drove upon the great sea. And the 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings.
Mm-hmm.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up.
Read that again.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings.
Right. Babylon was the lion. The eagle's wings is in reference to the Assyrian Empire, right? When you read the book of Hosea, Hosea calls the Assyrians an eagle that's fighting against Israel, right? Isaiah calls the book of the Babylonians lions and the Assyrians lions coming up and devouring the children of Israel, right? Go ahead. But let's go down. Let's go down to the point. I'm not going to go into the whole point. If you want the breakdown of the book of Daniel and the 4 beasts, you can reach out to the Friday history class and you can go into it.
Oh, we want me to go down to God.
Let me see. Keep reading on that. Let me see.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man.
Okay, now I found it. Verse 17.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verse 17. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth.
What are they?
These great beasts, which are 4 kings.
Right, 4 kings, which is 4 kingdoms, right? It's not specific individuals, but it's actual kingdoms, right? Go ahead.
Which shall arise out of the earth.
4 kings, 4 kingdoms is going to rise out of the earth. Go ahead.
Verse 18.
Uh-huh.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
What did it say?
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
It's only after these 4 kingdoms are established and rule on this earth, then comes our kingdom. Then comes our time to rule on this earth. You understand? So jump down to verse 23.
Verse 23.
Uh-huh.
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon.
What did it say?
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom.
And just to emphasize that these beasts are kingdoms, they're nations. So my whole point of going here is just basically explain how if we don't use the Apocrypha, then we won't even get an in-depth understanding of what occurred to us under the third beast. We don't see us being reigned by the third beast within just the standard Bible that we have today, right? If you don't have an Apocrypha, then you wouldn't see it when our people was oppressed by the third beast, which is the Grecians, right? It's prophesied in Isaiah 11. Not so like Isaiah 11. Daniel's 11, Daniel's 10, Daniel's 7, Daniel's 8. It's constantly mentioned by the prophets that we was going to be oppressed by these Grecians, right? But then when you get to Malachi, you go straight into the New Testament, boom, we under the Romans, right? And that throws all the chain of prophecy out. That's why it's so important for us to read Maccabees, because we see the interaction between us and the third beast, right? So let's go back to the book of 1 Maccabees 8. Ooh, man. Coconut water, boy. I'm telling you. Something special. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
In consideration of these things, Judas chose Euthymius, the son of John, the son of Achos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity, and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus with his brethren,
Oh, let me just send it up there.
the people of the Jews have sent us unto you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered, your confederates and friends.
Right.
So that matter pleased the Romans well. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tables of brass and sent to Jerusalem, that there they might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews, by sea and by land forever. The sword also an enemy by far from them.
Right. So, from what we're reading, historically, there was evidence of this treaty between Israel and Rome, right? There was evidence of this treaty between Israel and Rome, right? What they established was a friendship, an allyship, right? If we fight against Rome, if any nation fights against Rome, we're going to pull up to the scene and fight with them, right? If any nation comes against us, they're going to pull up to the scene and fight with us, right? But you have to keep in mind that Israel was being oppressed and in captivity to the Grecians, and it was through these many battles that Judas fought during his lifetime, not years and many lifetimes after, of different individuals fighting these battles, making a name. No, Judas' name alone established themselves to have an allyship with the Romans, right? They had a long history of battling and fighting and killing. This is the Roman Republic. This is not even the Roman Empire yet. The Roman Empire doesn't come into the scene until Augusta, and that's in the 1st century, right? That's why you see in the New Testament, he even mentions Augusta's name. You understand? So this is the Roman Republic that's been around since the 500 BC. You feel me? They had years and centuries of battles and wins, and somehow they decided from this low amount of battles that Judas made, it proved that he was worth making an allyship with. You understand? So let's go ahead and read this. This is called the Roman-Jewish Treaty. Oh, that. There you go. The Roman-Jewish treaty. Let's read this.
The Roman-Jewish treaty was an agreement made between Judas
Hold
Maccabeus.
on. Let me highlight it. There you go.
The Roman-Jewish treaty was an agreement made between Judas Maccabeus and the Roman Republic, according to book First Maccabees and Josephus Jewish Antiquities.
Jewish Antiquities, yeah.
It took place around 161 BCE and was the first recorded contract between the Jewish people and the Romans. The Romans apparently extended an offer of aid to the Judean rebel side of the Maccabean revolt. It does not appear the treaty over resulted in direct action by the Romans, but it may have deterred other states from more extreme measures against Judea.
Right. So one of the things I want to point out here is when you read this same report, right? You have this guy right here. This is Flavius Josephus. He was not a Caucasian. He was what we will call today a Haitian man. He was a Levitical priest that lived in the 1st century, the same era as Christ. In his book called the Jewish Antiquities, he even mentions Christ. I don't hold his book in the same level as most other Israelites. Because there is like error. I don't want to say errors. When it comes to his book as Flavius Joseph, the Jewish Antiquities, the one thing I can say is that there was an audience that his book was directed to. Trust me, Josephus was absolutely a real Jew. You understand? He was a Levitical priest. You understand? But his audience that he wrote the Jewish Antiquities for was toward the Romans. It wasn't toward a Jew audience, right? There's a reason why his book survived that era when the Romans were seeking out to destroy everything that had anything to do with the children of Israel. You understand? So I don't hold his book to the same esteem that other Israelites do, but one thing I would say, it is worth reading. Right, because he is a historian and he is one of our people, and he absolutely didn't look like this guy. All right. So the thing is that read this part one more time. The first part right here after Judas.
Judas Maccabeus and the Roman Republic, according to the book First Maccabees and Josephus Jewish Antiquities. Josephus Jewish Antiquities.
All right, so my bad. So when you go into the Josephus, it doesn't look like this. But when you do go into the Josephus, we'll be going into. We're not going to go into it for this because when you do read the Josephus, it literally copy and paste everything that First Maccabees chapter 8 talks about Judas' interaction with the Romans. He copy and paste it directly from the book of Maccabees, right? Which one shows that it was being used. It was being used in the 1st century. It was believed and read by the children of Israel. You understand? So when you go into the Jewish Antiquities, it literally is just a copy and paste directly, word by word, from the book of First Maccabees. All right. How far did you read? You finished it?
Okay. Yeah, I finished the whole paragraph.
There was a point I want to read. Hold on. Okay, go ahead and read this.
In First Maccabees, the treaty is preceded by several paragraphs of introduction, which praise the Romans for their great strength and their unique system of government. The clauses of the treaty require each party to aid the other if it is attacked, and to refrain from helping the enemies of the party. The treaty also contains an assurance by the Romans that they have told the Seleucid king Demetrius not to attack the Jews.
Go ahead.
And this is a copy of the letter that they wrote in reply on bronze tablets and sent to Jerusalem to remain with them there as a memorial of peace and alliance.
All right, we're not going to read this because we already read this in the book of First Maccabees, but there is something that I want to pull out before we go any further. Let me see. Okay, so just the proof of evidence that we actually did have this allyship with the Romans, it was mentioned in the book of Justinian Marcus. He was a Latin writer in the 2nd century, and he mentioned this same situation, our allyship with the Romans, in his book in the 2nd century. Go ahead and read some of this.
The first mention of friendship between the Romans and the Jews in Greco-Roman sources is to be found in Justinian's summary of a 44-volume work no longer extant called the Liber Historium.
All right, all this is in Latin. Don't even worry about that. Go ahead and continue this right here.
Justinus writes, on revolting from Demetrius and soliciting the friendship of the Romans, they were the first of all Eastern people that regained their liberty. Other ancient writers could corroborate that the diplomatic relations at this time were in the form of amictia.
It's a Latin word. It basically means friendship, right? And he basically names a couple other historians that lived during that time between the 3rd and 4th century that basically corroborates that we actually did have an allyship with the Romans during this time, right? Because the reason why I wanted to pull this out is because, there's a lot of our people who think, oh, the Bible's made up. Oh, none of these things happened. No, none of these events occurred. But then we read about things like Alexander, right? We read about Alexander and his conquest into the eastern parts of the world, right? And we read about Cyrus letting the Jews go back into the land, which is an historical event, even in Persian medieval writings. You understand? And we read about this and we think, and then you'll come across a Negro in 2024 that will say, Jews never existed past the 1800s. Jews never existed in the ancient times. And we have all this history of us interacting with these other nations. You feel me? So, all right. This is the last part. This deals with the actual bronze tablet that has the writings of our interaction with the Romans. Okay, go ahead and read this. Salakia. Oh, my bad. This thing crazy. Hold on. There you go. That's where I was.
Is the whole paragraph at the bottom?
Yeah, just the paragraph at the bottom. This one right here. Go ahead.
Mirabilia Eubreus Romae, a popular medieval guidebook to Rome for the use of Christian pilgrims,
right,
mentions that the Greek church of San Basilio should be visited solely on account of a bronze tablet.
A bronze tablet. Go ahead.
That had once been affixed to its wall.
Come on.
Mirabilia in chapter 24 reports.
And this is all in I want to say this is Latin. All this is in Latin, so we'll continue from right here. This bronze tablet, let's see what was on these bronze tablet, right?
Attached to the wall of the church of San Basilio was a large bronze tablet.
Come on.
Where there was written in a suitable and conspicuous place, friendship between the Romans and the Jews.
And this was in medieval times, and this church had this bronze tablet. Shalom. The go-getter. What's going on? Shalom. Right? This church actually have the bronze tablets that we read about in the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 8 that shows evidence of our relationship between the Romans and between us and the Romans, right? So let's go ahead and keep going. Oh, so like we're in 1 Maccabees chapter 8. My bad. Go ahead.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 8, and verse 22. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tablets of brass and sent to Jerusalem, that there might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews by sea and by land forever. The sword also an enemy be far from them. If there come first any war upon the Romans or any of their confederates throughout all their dominion, the people of the Jews shall help them, as the time shall be appointed with all their heart. Neither shall they give anything unto them that make war upon them, or aid them with victuals, weapons, money, or ships, as it hath seemed good unto the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants without taking anything therefore. In the same manner also, if war come first upon the nation of the Jews, the Romans shall help them with all their heart, according as the time shall be appointed them. Neither shall victuals be given to them that take part against them for weapons, or money, or ships, or it hath seemed good to the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants, and that without deceit. According to these articles did the Romans make a covenant with the people of the Jews. Howbeit, if hereafter the one party or the other shall think meet to add or diminish anything, they might that slacking. Howbeit, if hereafter that one party or the other shall think meet to add or diminish anything, they may do it at their pleasures, and whatsoever they shall add or take away shall be ratified. And as touching the evils that Demetrius doeth to the Jews, we have written unto him, saying, Wherefore hast thou made thy yoke heavy upon our friends and confederates the Jews? If therefore they complain any more against thee, we will do them justice and fight with thee by sea and by land. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 9.
Understand. Like, okay, so outside even with Judas Maccabeus' fame of winning all these battles against the Seleucid Empire, you got to also understand, what other reason would the Romans have an advantage making an allyship with us? What other reason? Let's think about it. Right? We're going to do something that they never do in the Christian church. We're going to use critical thinking. Yeah. Right? So the question is, what advantage does the Romans have making an allyship with us? That's a good question, huh? Huh? What? You said everything? Explain your everything.
Well, the power we serve is the creator of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Most High is over everything. So the Romans align themselves with us. Damn, they got the power of everything also with them. So then it kind of gives them power,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
They're pagans. They're pagans. They serve idols. What did the scripture say? They serve sticks and stones. You know, and they look at us who have no idols as savages. You understand? You know, you can't even, they're going to come into our land and say, where is your God? I can't even see him. He doesn't exist. You understand? So they're not even looking at that in that spiritual sense. You feel me? We'll just speak carnality, right? What advantage do they obtain making an allyship with us, right? We're basically we're basically just a vassal state to the Seleucid Empire, right? The Seleucid Empire is just trying to keep us in order, keep us in check. You understand? So the question is, what do the Romans get for aiding us in this allyship?
Our resources from our land?
No. Let's think about this. Let's think about it.
Our military numbers?
Nope. Who remembers? It was World War I. In World War I, there was a situation called the Zimmerman telegram. Right? Who knows what is Zimmerman telegram? Was it World War One? Let me double check. It was called the Zimmerman telegram. Who remembers that? I know y'all. Listen, I understand. When we was in school, sleeping in history class, they turned those lights off. They put that screen on. You was in the back with your head on in your arms, sleeping. I get it. But now the question is, what is the Zimmerman telegram? Who knows what it is? Search it up. Let's get the phones out. Start searching these things up, man. I was correct. It was World War One. You got it?
In January 19. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Zimmerman telegram. The Zimmerman telegram, or Zimmerman note, or Zimmerman cable, was a secret diplomatic communication issued from the German Foreign Office in January 1917. That proposed a military contract between the German Empire and Mexico.
And where who?
The German Empire and Mexico.
And with Mexico was at war in conflict with who? What's it? I don't know. You got to say it. The United States. Mexico was in conflict with the United States. So the Germans, what did they do during the Zimmerman telegram? They made contact with the Mexicans to do what? Go ahead and keep reading.
If the United States entered World War I against Germany, with Germany's aid, Mexico would recover Texas, Arizona.
We'll read that one more time. Read that part one more time.
If the United States entered World War I against Germany with Germany's aid, Mexico would recover Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. The telegram was intercepted by British intelligence.
Let me see. So the point, they contacted Mexico because they wanted them to stir up conflict between the United States to prevent them from entering into the war that the Germans were doing during World War I, right? But because it was intercepted, the United States decided to go into the war anyway. You understand? But the Germans, when you read this, it's easy to understand what the Germans were planning. They were trying to do what? Take advantage of the conflict between Mexico and the United States. They would give something because of what the Mexicans would have done. They would have give them something, but they would have more of an advantage from this allyship with Mexico, right? A lot of people don't even know too much about the Zimmerman telegram, and I wanted to do a class on it. That there was more going on with the conflict between Mexico and the United States at that time that people don't even understand. There was actually a Mexican revolt that was taking place, that was being planned, and that was going to take place, and it was called the San Diego Plan. The San Diego Plan was a 24-hour revolt that Mexican rebels were stirring up in Mexico to basically take over Texas, take over Arizona, take over all these states to basically, I can't say the word murder, so I'm going to say unalive, to unalive every Caucasian over the age of 16. Every male and every female over the age 16 was going to be unalived during this time, right? And it's called the San Diego Plan, right? And I think it was either it was 100 Caucasians I got unalived by these Mexicans or something like that. But it was during the same time when the Zimmerman telegram was taking place. So the point is that the Romans made an allyship with the Jews because they wanted to take advantage of this contention between the Jews and the Greeks. Because ultimately, if they can stir up this contention even more, what they can do is what? They can use it to go against the Greeks and take over and obtain power next. Right? Go ahead and keep reading.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 9, and verse 1. Furthermore, when Demetrius heard that Nicanor and his hosts were slain in battle, he sent Bacchides and Alcimus into the land of Judea the second time, and with them...
Who remembers who Alcimus is? Who remembers who Alchemist is?
Wasn't he the Levite priest that was thrown out that was quote unquote thrown out of the thrown out of Jerusalem when
There you go.
yeah, okay,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Right. Alchemist was a Levitical high priest. He was the high priest in the temple during the time of Matthias and Judas Maccabeus. And he was one of the individuals that got ran out of Israel because they wanted to perform and take part of Hellenization and take part in pagan rituals being taken in the temple. So the minute Judas Maccabeus ran them out of Israel, he fled to the heathens for safety, and then now he's come back with this army being supported by the Seleucids to obtain his position back. Go ahead and keep reading.
He sent Bacchachidas and Alchemist into the land of Judea. So like in the land of Judea the second time, and with them the chief strength of his host, who went forth by the way that leadeth to Galagala, and pitched their tents before Masaloth, which is in Arabia, and after they had won it, they slew much people. Also, the first month of the 150th and second year, they encamped before Jerusalem, from whence they removed and went to Berea with 20,000 footmen and 2,000 horsemen. Verse 5. Now Judas had pitched his tents at Eliezer, and 3,000 chosen men with him, who, seeing the multitude of the other army to be so great, were sore afraid. Whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as there abode of them no more but 800 men. Wow. When Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and that the battle pressed upon him, he was sore troubled in mind, and much distressed, for that he had no time to gather them together. Nevertheless, unto them that remained he said, Let us arise and go up against our enemies, if peradventure we may be able to fight with them. Verse 9. But they dehoarded him, saying, We shall never be able. Let us now rather save our lives, and hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight against them, for we are but few. Then Judas said,
I like it. What verse you at?
Verse 10 right now.
Verse 10?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Then Judas said, God forbid that I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Verse 11. With that, the host of Bacchides removed out of their tents and stood over against them, the horsemen being divided into two troops, and their slingers and archers going before the host, and they that marched in the forward were all mighty men. As for Bacchides, he was in the right wing, so the host drew near on the two parts and sounded their trumpets. They also of Judas' side, even they surrounded their trumpets also, so that the earth shook at the noise of the armies, and the battle continued from morning till night. Now when Judas perceived that Bacchides and the strength of his army were on the right side, he took with him all the hardy men, who discomfited the right wing and pursued them unto the Mount Azotus. Verse 16. But when they of the left wing saw that they of the right wing was discomfited, they followed upon Judas and those that were with him, hard at the heels from behind, whereupon there was a sore battle, insomuch as many were slain in both parts. Judas was also killed, and the remnant fled. Then Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother.
That's just a terrible thing. But you have to understand, and I pray that you keep it, brothers and sisters, are keeping up what's going on, right? Judas Maccabeus is at a point where he's outnumbered. He's surrounded. The spirit of his men is broken in half. right? And he has no time and opportunity to inspire them, which is a very spiritual word, right? To inspire them, right? So now he has to deal with what the law tells us not to do. Bring out the war cowards, right? These men, and it's not like these men were weak. It's not like these guys were soft. It's not like these men were a capital word that starts with P. It was nothing like that. What it is that their spirits were broken, right? They were broken. Yeah, and they forgot about the many battles that they've already won being outnumbered, right? There was a battle they won where it was over, like, I think 50,000 men, and it was only 600 on their side. And they won that. But they forgot it. That's why it's so important when we do these prayers. I always make sure to say, and thank the Most High for putting that spirit of Zakar. Zakar is a Hebrew word that deals with remembrance, right? That we remember these actions that our ancestors committed, and it empowers us that we can succeed, that we can overcome the things that we go through every day, right? Because it's nothing compared to what our ancestors had to go through. So let's go ahead and read this one more time, but we're going to read it in the GNT. Go ahead and read.
Wait, I'm sorry, verse 5?
No, you can start with verse 1 right here.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 9, and verse 1 in the GNT.
Uh-huh.
When Demetrius heard that Nicanor and his army had been annihilated, he again sent Bacchides and Alchemists to the land of Judea, this time with Syrian wing of the army.
Yeah, Syrian.
With the Assyrian wing of the army. They moved along Gilgal road, laid siege to Masloth and Arabia, captured it, and killed many people. In the first month of the year 152, they set up camp opposite Jerusalem. From there, they marched to Berea with 20,000 infantry and 2,000 cavalry. Verse 5. Judas had camped at Elasa with 3,000 experienced soldiers. But when they saw the enormous size of the enemy army, they were terrified.
So how many soldiers that the opposing army have? Let's make sure everyone's keeping up.
At least 22,000.
Huh? Not you. Wicked. How many soldiers that the opposing army have? Huh? No. 22. You wicked, man. Man. Yeah, 2,000. 20,000 infantry. So it's 22,000. 22,000 soldiers outranking his what? 3,000. His 3,000 experienced soldiers, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 6.
But when they saw the enormous size of the enemy army, they were terrified. So many men deserted that only 800 Jewish soldiers were left.
Uh-huh.
Verse 7. When Judas saw that his army was dwindling away and that the battle was about to begin, he was worried because there was not enough time to bring his army together.
Uh-huh.
He was discouraged, but he said to those who were still with him.
Go ahead, keep going.
Let's prepare for the attack. Maybe we can still defeat them. His men tried to talk him out of it. We are not strong enough, they said. Let's retreat now and save our lives.
Now keep in mind, like I said, these men weren't cowards. They weren't. But that spirit of fear and that spirit of that broken spirit came into them, right? And that's the reason why they're trying to encourage him to turn away from this battle. And this is the exact reason why we have that law, right? A lot of people think they understand it. A lot of Israelites like to believe they understand it. No, you don't understand. Because unless you was an athlete, unless you was part of a team or you had to do something as a team to succeed, you'll never understand what it means to not have this lazy or not have this coward a part of you. You understand? How you don't want this coward in the midst of you. You don't want this lazy person around you because they can't do or measure up to what you're trying to see and do for yourself. You feel me? Or do for the team. Do for the system. You understand? Someone get me that scripture real quick. Get me that scripture in the law real quick. Oh, no, you stay where you at.
Oh, man.
Someone give me the scripture right there in the law. Deuteronomy chapter 20 with the coward, man. Go ahead and keep reading.
Come on, the book of First Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
His men try to talk him out of it.
What did they try to do?
His men try to talk him out of it.
Come on.
We are not strong enough, they said.
Mm-hmm.
Let's retreat now and save our lives.
Just do what?
Let's retreat now and save our lives.
Let's retreat now and save our lives. Right? You got it? All right, hold it for 1 second. How many battles have Judas Maccabeus lost so far?
Like one now.
Hold on. How many battles have Judas Maccabeus lost so far? We're in chapter 9. We've been going over Maccabees for a couple weeks now. Everyone should be able to have the answer. It should be running out your mouth as soon as you say it. As soon as I ask this question. How many battles have Judas Maccabeus lost so far? Whoever got an answer. One more time?
No.
Give the brother a hand. Absolutely none. You have lost no battles, right? It doesn't matter how many numbers, how many soldiers outclassed him, how many people there was against him. He has lost none. And when you read in the scriptures, it lets you know one of the reasons why he never lost is because he understood what his God is. He knew what his God can do, right? Why did Judas Maccabeus know that he could win? What did he remember from the scriptures? Huh? Go ahead. Did for who? Who? For Judas? He ain't did it yet. We're talking about when Judas was just starting.
We did for his father.
Huh?
What he did for his father.
What he did for Matthias. What else? What else did he remember?
The time of David and the time of Moses.
What he did for David, right? What he did for David, what he did for Moses, what he did for Joshua, what he did for all these different men who put their trust in the Lord. He remembered that. A lot of times, Israelites, we tend to be, when we're in stress or problems and issue, we forget the Most High God, right? We forget what he can do for us, right? We forget his power, right? And that's why a lot of us fail. That's why a lot of us, we end up in terrible, shameful, dishonorable situations and positions in our life because we forget the Most High and what he's capable of doing for us, right? But when we see Judas Maccabeus and his success, it's because he never forgot. You feel me? It's because he never forgot. Go ahead and read that scripture.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots, and a people more than thou. Be not afraid of them, for the Most High thy power is with thee, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
And that's crazy. I said Moses, I said Joshua, but one of the biggest things is he's reading this from what book? What book are you reading this from?
Deuteronomy.
And that's a part of what?
The Torah.
He remembered the law. That man remembered the commandments. The commandments taught him not to be a coward. You understand? Go ahead and read that.
Verse 2. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Most High, your power, is he that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officer shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a new house, and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it.
Hold that thought. Read it, verse 9 again.
Verse 9. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 9 and verse 9.
Read with some power. Read it.
His men try to talk him out of it.
What did it say?
His men try to talk him out of it.
Those right there in the law, Those are the reasons why your men were going to talk you out from going to teach the word and going to keep the commandments and going out in the streets and teach those people and doing the things that you're supposed to be doing out in war and battle. Those are the reasons why right there. You heard that? Because that's what's going on in his mind, right? His mind and spirit is supposed to be in battle with you, but you know where his mind is? His mind is over there. You feel me? Go ahead and keep reading.
And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard and hath not eaten of it?
Give me Romans 14 and
Let
7.
him also go and return unto his house,
Mhm.
lest he die in battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest
So
he
you-
die in the battle.
That's good. You can drop that. That's the point right there. You can drop that. Captain Ali, give me. You can hold it where you at. You can stay right here. Give me the book of Romans chapter 14 verse 7. You can hold that. You can drop it. The what?
You want verse 8?
Go ahead and read it. Finish it.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 8. And the officer shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted?
Mm-hmm.
Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brother's heart faint as well as his heart.
See? And this is what was going on with these men. Because like we was reading in the scriptures, it says these guys were experienced soldiers. So once again, I don't think absolutely at all that these men were cowards. It's just that their spirit got broken, right? Their spirit was broken. Especially when you, and it happens. You know, when you play basketball or football or sports or you box and you're just on a nonstop winning streak, you know, that fear comes into your heart. Dang, this might be the time I'm going to lose. This going to be the time I'm going to lose. My streak is going to end.
It be
You know?
like that.
Go ahead and read that.
Romans chapter
Oh, no, Salakia. Don't read that yet. Hold that. Yeah, hold that. Go ahead and keep reading.
His men tried to talk him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We are not strong enough, they said. Let's retreat now and save our lives.
Dang. Yeah.
Then we can return with reinforcements and fight the enemy. We do not have enough men now. Judas replied, never let it be.
Listen, Judas understand that was a lie. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. Yeah. You saw the men. You saw these men, and you said, "We can't win this. We can't win this." Because you know how Judas knew that was a lie? Because they won countless battles where they were outnumbered already. There was a battle they won where they had no swords. Right? They ran into battles with shofar horns and trumpets. Right? And it was because of the horns and trumpets they put fear in the heart of their enemies, and they dropped their swords and they picked it up and killed their enemies. You understand? Go ahead. No, I thought you were going to make a comment. Salakia. Go ahead.
Was that the time when they did the flashbangs?
The flashbangs? Explain it. No. You're talking about Gideon. You're talking about Gideon. Yeah. Go
He
ahead.
said no swords. The first thing
Yeah.
Judas replied, never let it be said that I ran from a battle.
What did Judas say?
Never let it be said that I ran from a battle.
Let it never be said that I ran from a battle. Go ahead.
If our time has come, let's die bravely for our fellow Jews and not leave any stain on our honor.
And that's a powerful statement. I want this in Daniel. Give me the book of Daniel. Someone give me the book of Daniel. When the boys were in the burning fire. Let me see real quick. These are let me see. I want this. Those are specific things that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego has said. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I see it. Let me see. Hold on. I think it's Daniel's 3 and 3 and 16 and 17. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's 17. If you so our God, we ever deliver us. Yeah, it was. Go ahead and read. Whoever got it, 16 to 18. You stay where you at. Someone down there, yeah. But you make sure to use camp voice.
God. The book of Daniel, chapter 3 and verse 16.
Uh huh.
Sandrach, Meshach, Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter.
Right? And this goes alongside with what Judas Maccabeus is saying here in verse 10. Where he said, never let it be said that I ran from a battle. If our time has come, let's die bravely for our fellow Jews and not leave a stain on our honor. So the situation never changed. The same way they're outnumbered in this battle, they've been outnumbered before. The only distinction is that those other times they won. This time he doesn't know for sure whether he's going to win or not. You understand? So the statement he's making in verse 10 is, listen, whether we lose or whether we win, it don't matter. It's all praise to the Most High. You understand? A lot of times for us as Israelites, we assume that if we're not succeeding or we're not obtaining the thing that we were praying to the Lord for, then boom, the Most High is not with me, or I'm doing something wrong. Maybe the Most High just held it back from you. Maybe the Most High just don't want to give it to you. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't feel like it, right? And He can do that. But we too often we put the Lord in a box thinking He has to do what we want Him to do. No, we're the ones in the box. You understand? Go ahead and read that.
Verse 17. I'm going to read it again. 16. Sandrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And He will deliver us out of thine hand, O king.
Right. And the Lord give us this win to win this battle, then we're going to win. But keep going.
But if not.
But if what?
But if not.
But if not, go ahead.
Be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy powers, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
And it don't matter whether we survive this or we die. It's going to be all praise to the Most High God. We're not going to, what it says? We're not going to bend the knee. Right. You understand? Right. We're not going to bend the knee. You understand? So let's keep going and reading. Let's keep reading from this.
And throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel.
Keep reading?
No, you good on that. You good on that. You made a point. Go ahead and read.
Okay. Verse 11.
Yo, Captain Shemola, Bible Shah, give me the book of Psalms 56 and 3.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 9 and verse 11 in the GNT. The Syrian army came out of the camp and took up battle positions against the Jews. The cavalry was divided into two parts.
You got to read with some more power. Go ahead and read again.
The Syrian army came out of the camp and took up battle positions against the Jews. The cavalry was divided into two parts. The shock troops were in the front lines, but the archers and those who used slings went ahead of the main formation. Bacchides took his position on the right. The infantry advanced protected on both sides by the cavalry, and the war trumpets were blown. The soldiers of Judas also sounded their trumpets. The ground shook from the noise when the two armies met, and they fought from morning until evening.
Come on.
When Judas saw that Bacchides and the main force of the Syrian army was on the right, all his bravest men joined him.
Wait, read that part one more time?
When Judas saw that Bacchides and the main force of the Syrian army was on the right, all his bravest men joined him.
When they saw the Bacchides and all his strongest men was on the right, what did they do? They didn't turn to the left, or let's avoid them, or let's stay away from them. We're trying to survive this. No, we're going toward that right. And if the Lord gives it to us, we're going to win. If the Lord doesn't give it to us, it don't matter, because all praise to the Most High. anyway. Right? And that tells you the type of man that Judas Maccabeus is. Right? Not too often people go into Maccabees. Not too often many people don't even know too much about Judas and about his brethren. But this identifies a clear trait about Judas Maccabeus, that he was no punk. He was no coward. You understand? Just like many people don't know about David, they were the same way. You know what I mean? Two peas in a pod. You feel me? So go ahead and you can go ahead and read that book in Romans 14 and 7.
The book of Romans, chapter 14 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
For none of us liveth to himself.
What did it say?
For none of us liveth to himself.
We don't live for ourselves. You don't draw breath, right? You don't draw breath and exhale for yourself. You feel me? Go ahead.
And no man dieth to himself.
And you don't die for yourself. Go ahead.
For whether
we live, go ahead.
we live unto the Most High.
How are we supposed to live?
We live unto the Most High.
If we're supposed to live, if we're drawing breath, it's supposed to be toward the Most High. Everything in your life is supposed to be toward the Most High. That's why you read it in Colossians chapter 3, not Colossians, Hebrews. I want to say Hebrews 3 and 25. It tells you that the Most High is a consuming fire. All right? You know, Captain Shannon, I see you precept master, right? The scripture tells you the Most High is a consuming fire. You feel me? So it's a consuming fire. Everything is supposed to revolve around him. Your life revolves around him. You feel me? There's at no point in your life where anything should be in the center of your mind, the center of your duties. The Most High should be in the center, and everything else comes second. You understand? So go ahead and keep reading that.
For whether we live unto the Most High.
Go ahead.
And whether we die,
go ahead.
We die unto the Most High.
And we die to the Most High God. And Judas Maccabeus understand that. You know what I mean? Abednego, Meshach, they understood that. You understand? Go ahead and let's go back. Daughter.
Go on.
The reason I'm reading from the GNT, because I like how it's rendering it and making it a lot more simple and clear, right? And there's a couple points here that I really want to make sure that y'all hear. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And they crushed the Syrians' right wing. They pursued them as far as the foothills. But when the Syrians on the left wing saw that their right wing had been crushed, they turned to attack Judas and his men from the rear. The fighting became very fierce, and many on both sides were killed. Finally, Judas himself was killed. Then all his men fled. Mm-hmm. Jonathan and Simon took...
Read that one more time.
Verse 17. The fighting became very fierce.
Uh-huh.
And many on both sides were killed.
Uh-huh.
Finally, Judas himself...
Wait, you missed something. You missed something. Oh, no, you didn't get to it yet. Go ahead and read that.
The fighting became very fierce.
Uh-huh.
And many on both sides were killed.
Uh-huh.
Finally, Judas himself was killed.
Uh-huh.
Then all his men fled.
What does men do?
Then all his men fled.
And all his men fled. They all left him. They left him. They all abandoned him. Once they saw him go, they all left him. Right? And this is the reason why cowards stay home, man. You understand? That's why they stay home. Right? But like we see right here, it tells you that what? Many died on both sides, So those men that was obviously in it with the same spirit of Judas Maccabeus, that they were there to fight. They understood if this is going to be our last battle, it's going to be our last battle. You understand? Go ahead and keep reading.
Jonathan and Simon took their brother's body
Uh-huh.
and buried it in the family's tomb at Modian.
Mm-hmm.
And there at the tomb they wept for him. All Israel mourned for him in great sorrow for many days. They said...
Oh, Salaki, now you can go back to it from there. You can continue it from there.
Like back from all the way up to 18?
No. From where you just left off.
Okay.
I just wanted that few points be right there read in GNT.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 9 and verse 19.
Go ahead.
Then Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother, and buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers in Modin. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentation for him, and mourned many days, saying, How is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? As for the other things concerning Judas and his wars, and the noble acts which he did and his greatness, they were not written, for they were very many. Now after the death of Judas, the wicked began to put forth their heads in all the coasts of Israel. And there rose up all such as wrought iniquity. In those days also was there a very great famine, by reason whereof the country revolted and went with them. Then Bacchides chose the wicked men, and made them lords of the country. And they made inquiry and search for Judas' friends.
What verse you at?
Verse 26.
Okay, go ahead.
And brought them unto Bacchides, who took vengeance of them and used them despitefully. So was there a great affliction in Israel, the like whereof was not since the time that a prophet was not seen among them. For this cause all Judas' friends came together and said unto Jonathan,
What did they say?
Since thy brother Judas died, we have no man like him to go forth against our enemies and Bacchides, and against them of our nation that are adversaries to us. Now therefore, we have chosen thee this day to be our prince and captain in his stead, that thou mayest fight our battles. Upon this, Jonathan took the governance upon him at that time and rose up instead of his brother Judas. Verse 32.
Who's the face of Israel now? Is Jonathan, Judas's brother, right? Judas, during his time, he was a Levitical priest and a general over Israel. He was a Levitical priest and a general. Now we're transferring over to the government, to the hands of Jonathan. And I would like to say that this is really the beginning of something what we call the Hasmonean dynasty, right? Who's heard of the Hasmonean dynasty? I talked about this in other classes before, right? Who knows what the Hasmonean dynasty is? I see a couple people talking some good stuff in the chat, some shaloms, some Shabbat shaloms. My question is, what is the Hasmonean dynasty? Officer Malachi, have you heard of it before? The Hasmonean dynasty is similar to what we know as the Davidic dynasty, right? What's the Davidic dynasty?
He's still saying the same thing.
All right, well, we know who David is, right?
I'm not sure.
We know who David is.
Yes, sir.
There was a covenant made with David and established him as king over Israel. Okay. And once that covenant wasn't to David alone, but toward all his seed line, so that they may have right to reign over Israel, to be able to be, that's called the Davidic dynasty, right? So now, at this time, there was no Davidic dynasty. There was no son of David to rule over us, right? There was no son of David to rule over us. So after the Maccabean revolt, what I was just saying, during the Maccabean revolt, was the establishment of something called the Hasmonean dynasty. And this was the dynasty set up by Jonathan, passed into Simon, and all his children after them ruled over Israel. These were Levites. This was a Levitical family that was ruling over Israel with complete power. You understand? Here, let me get a definition and pull up what it was.
What is the difference between a Davidic and Hasmonean dynasty?
The only difference is the Davidic were Judites. They were Davidic were Judites and they were kings. And that's a good question. The Hasmonean dynasty, these were Levitical priests, which means they were operating in the temple. Whoever was ruling over Israel was high priest and king over Israel. Wow. He was high priest and king. Say that one more time?
That's a lot of power.
That's a lot of power, right? And you best believe there was a lot of wars that we had to fight among ourselves. Because, things like, because there was, I'm going to say this before I pull this up. I was about to pull something up. What was it again? Oh, theocracy. A theocracy.
Because in David's ruling, he still listened to the high priest.
It was the duty of the priests to be advisors to the king.
And the king still, but he listened to the
Right.
high priest.
Right, absolutely. Why is this thing not working? Hold on. There you go. We're just working. Hold on. Let me put it down. Okay, there you go. That's it. Read it.
Theocracy, a system of government in which priests rule in the name of God or a god.
Go ahead and read that.
The commonwealth of Israel from the time of Moses until the election of Saul as king.
And that's an example of theocracy is. Because a lot of people don't even know that before the Hasmonean dynasty, where we established as high priests and kings, there was a Levitical man that was king over Israel. Who am I speaking of? Before any king we had in Israel, there was a Levite who ruled over all Israel as king. Who am I speaking of?
Moses?
Huh?
Moses? He wasn't king? Oh.
Are you sure?
When did we give him a crown? He had a throne. He had good power.
Does the crown come from man, or who does it come from?
The Most High.
It comes from the Most High. Even while Saul was king, who was established as king during Saul's rulership?
Who was established as king?
Yeah, during Saul's rulership. Someone was given the throne.
David.
That's why all Judah, what did they say during the Civil War? That the southern states, they seceded, the union, they seceded. That means they left the union of all the other states. That's why Judah seceded, they left the union of all the other tribes, and they followed David and made them king. Go ahead.
So by the time they anointed him, when he got anointed by the high priest, that was him being crowned king by the Most High.
Mm-hmm. He was anointed. Yeah, he was already recognized as king by the Most High when he was anointed by Saul. You understand? By the eyes of men, he didn't become king until Saul died, right? But he was already chosen to be king. You understand? A king's rulership doesn't end until they die. No king gave up their throne before they died. You know what I mean? The only one I know for sure was that Judite king who got leprosy because he was trying to run into the temple and burn incense. You know what I mean? But because he obtained leprosy, that made him unfit. You know? So what was I just? Oh, proof of evidence Moses was king in Israel. Let's get this.
Yeah, bring it out.
Let me bring it out, right? Deuteronomy 33. Deuteronomy 33, let's get this. That's why even when you read this right here, it uses Moses as an example. It says what right here? It says the commonwealth of Israel from the time of Moses until the election of King Saul. And it's using it as an example of what a theocracy is, that a system of government in which priests rule. Moses was the priest, and he ruled over Israel as king. Let's go ahead and get this. Yeah.
33?
Yeah.
33:1?
33:1, yeah.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 1. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of Yahweh, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the 10,000s of saints, from his right hand with a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand.
So like jump down to verse 4. Let's get to it. Yeah.
Verse 4, Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob.
Right.
And he was king.
What was he?
And he was king.
One more time.
And he was king.
And he was king. Go ahead.
In Jeshurun.
And Jeshurun. Jeshurun is another surname for Israel. Israel didn't have just one name that we just went by when it came to the Most High. Israel was the name of our nation, but we had surnames that the Most High called us. Jeshurun, Ariel. Who knows what Jeshurun means? We had a brother in the school named Jeshurun. Yesharwan. Yesharwan means upright one, right? Ariel was another name that the Lord called us, and it meant lion of God, right? That's why in Deuteronomy, in Numbers 23 and 24, it calls us a young lion. You understand?
You said lion or lion?
Or lion.
Like the animal.
Yeah, like beast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and keep reading. Oh, no, that's it. That's it. And just for Salakia.
So what about Jerusalem? We got the different names. Israel. What about Jerusalem?
When we're called Jerusalem,
Right.
sometimes the Most High does that. He calls a nation by either the name of their land, or he'll call them by, well, lands are named after people.
Right.
He'll name them by a prominent city that they're from. That's like the capital. For example, the Babylonians. The term Babylonian doesn't go back. The name doesn't go back to a name of a man. You understand? But he'll call those people Babylonians. You understand? Israel, he calls us Zion. Zion's a mountain. It doesn't go back to a man. He'll call us Jerusalem. You feel me? So there's times the Lord does that. Yeah. No problem. No problem. Let's go back. Let's go back to
First Maccabees?
yeah. Oh, Salakia. You know what? Let me get this too. Let me might as well get this as well. Let's get Psalms. I think it was Psalm 91 or 99. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, it was 99. Yeah, 99 verse 6.
The book of Psalms 99 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
Moses and Aaron among his priests.
What did it say?
Moses and Aaron among his priests.
So we know Aaron was the high priest, but it says Moses and Aaron were
among his priests.
and
Samuel.
And who?
And Samuel
and we know Samuel was a priest, right? Go ahead.
among them. So like among them that call upon his name.
Uh-huh.
They called upon the Lord, and he answered them.
So Moses was absolutely a priest of God. He was a priest. The beautiful thing about the scriptures is that not only that we have prophecies, but there's certain men that had either a relationship with the Lord, certain titles that they held that were, what's the word I'm looking for? A foreshadowing for Christ. Because Moses held the position as a priest and also a king. He was a prophet. You understand? And these are all things that another man holds. He holds this position. Who is this? That has all these titles and all these positions. Who is that?
Just like I say one more time.
There's a who? What?
Christ.
Go ahead. Go, Cap. What do you say? I thought you said something.
Just like a,
What I was gonna say is that when we read in the scriptures, we see certain men have relationship with the Lord, or titles that they're given because it's a foreshadowing for someone in the scriptures that we've been waiting for.
Yahushua.
Yeah, I was shot. Give him.
That was an easy setup.
I'll give it to him.
That was an easy setup.
Yeah, it's easy setup. Yeah, I was shy. So when we look at it, Moses was a priest. He was a king. He was a prophet. All three of those titles, holding all three of those titles, we don't see that often in other individuals later in the scriptures, but Christ does. He was a prophet. He's king of Israel, and he's also high priest of the order of Melchizedek. You understand? So those are all foreshadowings of that. David was similar. You know, the fact that the Lord had so much love for him, that was a foreshadowing in how the Lord has that same level of love, or even more for Christ. You understand? Not even. Well, has more for Christ. All right, so let's go back.
I finished. You want me to go back from 29 and start again?
No, wait, hold on. Let me get there. Was it 1 Maccabees 9 and what?
9 and 32.
9 and 32?
Come on.
Oh, yeah, 32. Okay, you got it. Okay, there's one last thing I want to say because he just finished the portion, so all praise to the Most High for that. Let's clap it up. Before I go into, and the next topic won't be that long, but we're going to go into the second topic of the class, before I do that, what we see here is that a powerful leader, right? Judas Maccabeus was a powerful leader. He led the men, he inspired them, he encouraged them, and they followed him. You understand? But now that he's gone, you would think that there is nobody who can fill this seat. There is nobody who can lead the men like he did. But that's not necessarily true, right? When they saw he was gone, who they turned to? Who filled the seat of Judas Maccabeus?
Jonathan, his brother.
Jonathan, this man. Give the brothers opportunity. Wicked man. It was Jonathan. Jonathan gave them the opportunity. You understand? So, but ultimately, who gave the people these leaders? Who gave the people these leaders? These powerful, strong leaders. Yes, but who else? Yes, but who else? Let's see if y'all get it. This is something to think about when Hanukkah comes around. You understand? Because these individuals is the reason why we have Hanukkah. Yes. Yes, but who else? What else?
I want to say Moses, like
Nope.
the law he wrote.
Nope. Something simpler. Something we always look over. Something that people today don't care about.
The Spirit.
Nope. They don't care about this thing. It's thrown to the side. Sometimes it's not even home.
The
It's not
pride.
even- No.
All right, hold on.
You got it. I thought the Holy Spirit came down and gave them an answer. No.
Person or is like
Nah, you cheating. Nah, I ain't say nothing. Let's see who gets it. Who gave the people these leaders? Think about it. Think about it.
is it people?
Who gave the people of Israel these leaders? Think about it.
Besides Moses, right?
Beside the Most High. Most High does all things.
Who is in power at the moment?
Huh?
Who is giving all the instructions at the moment?
Nope. Who gave the people of Israel these leaders? Who's these leaders I'm speaking of?
The priest.
Huh?
The priests?
Nope. Who's the leaders that I'm speaking of right now in this context? I'm talking about Jonathan, Judas Maccabeus, Eleazar, Simon, and John. These are all brothers. Who gave the people these leaders? No. Huh? Wait.
Their fathers.
Give the brother a hand. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Give him a powerful hand. Too often, and remember what I said, I gave y'all an answer. He read my mind. Too often, even today, we throw away the fathers. You know what I mean? Especially the black and Latino father is thrown to the wayside. But we wouldn't even have these men who were so firm and willing to give their lives to their people, be so, what can I say it, racist, put their people first, nationalists. If their fathers didn't raise them, their father, Matthias, didn't raise them to be so. You understand?
His father put him on game, basically.
Absolutely. And there's often times when you're going over it, you see Judas Maccabeus, they rely on the history of their people that they learned from their father. You don't even hear about the mother, but I'm not throwing away the black mother at all. The black mother is wonderful, right? But we're talking about the black father, man. The black father, like I said, isn't home. The black father that's thrown away, the black father that's not obtaining the honor that he should, right? Let's read that real quick. Give me the book of Sirach, chapter 30. This is something to think about when Hanukkah comes around, right? Give praises to the Most High God. But make sure to give honor, make sure to think about, give a hand to all those black and Latino mothers and fathers that are raising their children to keep these commandments. Because without them, we will never have a man like Judas Maccabeus. We will never have a Hannah, an Abigail, a Ruth. We'll never have any of these people if their fathers and mothers didn't raise them. You understand?
The book of Sirach, the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30 and verse 1.
No, jump down to verse
2.
Verse 3. There you go.
Verse 3. Mm-hmm. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
Read it one more time.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
He that teacheth his son grieveth his enemy, right? Go ahead.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
What did it say?
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Come on. And that's powerful because when he was reading it in First Maccabees, after Judas Maccabeus died, who did Bacchides turn his attention to?
Jonathan, his
brothers. Nope. He was right in front of y'all. Right after Judas Maccabeus died, who did Bacchides turn his attention to persecute and kill? It was Judas Maccabeus' friends. He was searching them out. He was seeking them out. And they were the ones who said, Jonathan, we don't have Judas Maccabeus no more. We need somebody to lead us. And that's when they chose Judas Maccabeus' brother, Jonathan. But that's why the scriptures tells you when you raise your son, you properly raise them, he's going to be what? Read it again.
Though his father, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
Come on.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
And before his friends he's going to rejoice of him. Go ahead.
Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead.
When Matthias died, his zeal, his anger, and all the indignation he had toward these nations never disappeared off this earth. It continued to live through Judas Maccabeus and his brother. You understand? Go ahead.
For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
And this is similar to a historical figure like, who's familiar with an individual called Hannibal Barca? Who knows about Hannibal Barca? Hannibal Barca. It's a Israelite brother, man, right? It's an Israelite brother that was part of an empire, a kingdom called the Carthaginian Empire, the Carthaginian Kingdom, right? They were in direct conflict with the Romans, right? If you want to learn information about it, search up something called the First and Second Punic Wars, right? And you'll learn about Hannibal Barca. Hannibal Barca was the Carthaginian kingdom was made up of Asherites, Zebulonites, and Canaanites, Tyrians and Zidonians. They first started linking up. First started linking up in Tyre and Zidon, that's northern of Israel, right? And the Greeks called them the Phoenicians, the Phoenician people. They migrated across the Mediterranean Sea, and they established themselves in northern Africa, and they created a kingdom called Carthage, right? Which is a Hebrew word. I can't recall what it means, but it's a Hebrew word. Search it up, you'll see it, right? You understand? Hannibal Barca, his whole historical thing is that he had direct anger and fury toward the Romans. He led their kingdom against the Romans and defeated them nonstop until they imitate his battle strategies, and that's how they're able to defeat him. They fight against Rome, right? This was all taking place before the events of First Maccabees. The Romans were in existence at that time. You understand? So the whole point I brought that out is because for those who know Hannibal Barca, all his anger that he had from Rome and his fights and battles that he led men to go fight against the Romans, it was all pointed back toward the anger that his father had. His father was Barca, I think Barca, Hannibal Barca or Barca something. And he was the one who led that anger and indignation in him to go fight against the Romans. Because Barca was the first one fighting against the Romans before Hannibal Barca came into the scene. So go ahead and keep reading.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 30 and verse 5.
While
he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful.
Mm-hmm.
He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends.
And requite kindness to his friends, right? So let's go ahead and read. So give me one more scripture before we talk about the next topic, before we end class. Just get the book of Psalms. Give me someone down there. Give me the book of Psalms, chapter 127, verse 5. Let me get this set up over here. Let me know when you're ready. Go ahead.
127.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 127, and verse 5.
Uh-huh.
Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
Right. And it's a happy thing. It's a joyful thing when you have many children, right? When you have many daughters, when you have many sons, right? It's a happy thing when you have many children, right? Because the determinations, the goals, and the things that you have set up in your life, it can be passed on to those children. You understand? So let's go ahead and we're going to start this conversation off about, and let's first give a hand to All Praise the Most High. All right, so let's go into the topic. We're going to go into the topic about the LXX. And I've been waiting for some time to talk about this. The LXX. Hold on, let me put this on the screen. This man said the Super Bowl. What is this thing? This man funny, man. Well, first, let's just hear from the room. Who's familiar with the manuscripts that we get the Bible from? Right. I was talking about this earlier in the beginning of the class. Might as well just start from there.
Like how it translated over and
Where the translations come from? Like the translations before we had translations, we had the manuscripts. Right. The evidence that our people wrote down these words, right? So the question is, who's familiar with these manuscripts? Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shishbata. Shalom, Chief Minister. Shalom, shalom. I'm trying to write this in there. This thing's not working. Hold on. So yeah, as I was saying, so who's familiar with it? Any of them? All right. Who's heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls? There you go. The go-getter right there, right? So you heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? It's written in Hebrew. We have the Masoretic text, right? First written in the medieval times, Middle Ages. Then we have also something called the Greek Septuagint, right? The Greek Septuagint is the writing of, originally, the Greek Septuagint is the writing of all the law in Koine Greek, in the Greek language, right? The Masoretic text was written in Hebrew, and it's of the Old Testament. You understand? A lot of times when you hear things like Textus Preceptus or Codex Sinaiticus or anything Codex, it's always dealing with the New Testament. It's always written in Greek or some Latin, right? I'm trying to write this in. This thing's not coming in. This thing's not working. All right. So today we're going to learn about the Greek Septuagint and the LXX, where it came from and why is it problematic and why do we put more attention toward the translations that derive from the Masoretic text, like the KJV, right? The ESV, which Christians love, they use that because it derives from the Greek Septuagint, which has a lot of problems. Hold on. I'm sure. Why is this thing not working? Hold on. Let me turn this thing off. Turn it back on. Hold on. It's not working at all. Hold on. I'll put this on the screen. There you go. All praises. Let me see. Worthy of repeated. Okay. That looks like it. Okay, hold on. Let me just find this real quick. There you go. It starts from here. Okay, let me put this in. So first we're going to read it. We're going to go to Wikipedia. We're going to read about it and what it's about. And then we're going to go to the Josephus, which gives an historical point of view on what the LXX is and how it started and when it was created. Okay. Go ahead and read.
The Septuagint, sometimes referred to as the Greek Old Testament, or the translation of the 70.
Right. LXX is Greek, and it's just, no, Slovakia. Forgive me. LXX is Latin for 70. Sometimes it's translated as 72, but most often it just means 70, right? And we're going to know why it means 70. Go ahead.
And often abbreviated as LXX, is the earliest extant Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible from the original Hebrew. Mm-hmm. The full Greek title derives from the story recorded in the letter of Aristeas and Philocrates, the Law of the Jews, were translated into the Greek language as the request of Bartholomew Philadelphus, 285 to 247 BCE.
Right, which is before Judas Maccabeus' era, which takes place between like I want to say 171, no, more like 168 BC. Go ahead.
By 72 Hebrew translators, 6 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, biblical scholars agree that the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible were translated from biblical Hebrew from the Koine Greek by Jews living in Ptolemaic Kingdom. Ptolemaic Kingdom.
It's a Greek name. You don't pronounce the P. It's just a straight T. Just like in Spanish, you don't pronounce the H. No, you don't pronounce the H because the H is only put there as homage to the Latin language. So you just pronounce the T in this case.
Ptolemaic Kingdom centered on the large community in Alexandria, probably in the early or middle part of the third century BCE.
So far, we know what the Greek Septuagint is. What the Greek Septuagint is a Greek translation of, specifically, it began as a Greek translation of our laws into the Greek language. Now, just dealing with that alone, what's the issue with our law, our scripture being translated into the Greek? What's the issue with that?
I think the loss of purity, words.
What do you mean by that?
Like, how can I say?
Hold on, let me finish.
Certain words we use in Hebrew probably would get diluted. Would get diluted, transferring it into another language.
That's a good point.
For an example, the English language, we have a lot of gray areas. Like maybe I'm gonna go to the store. In Hebrew, is either we're gonna say we're going or we're not going.
That's a good point.
So when we translate our language into another language, sometimes it can be diluted.
Right, it can be diluted. If you translate into another language, it can get diluted. Things get lost because the ancient Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, is very direct, right? You don't read like one example in the ancient Hebrew is that there is no Hebrew word for wife, right? What would you call your wife in Hebrew? Huh? Which is Isha in modern Hebrew. If I remember correctly, I think it's Ayash. But what does it mean? Huh? No. Officer Malachi. What do you call? No. What do you call your? We don't have a Hebrew word for wife, so we will call our wife what in Hebrew? We call it Ayash or Isha, which just means woman. Right? That's how you know the Bible was written by black men. You understand? My woman. That's my woman. Ash. Right? You understand? My woman. You understand? So the Hebrew is very direct. So when you translate it adding on to your point, because that was a good point, that things get lost and diluted. But the second thing, a problem with it, is that the Greek language is a very evil and disgusting language, and it's filled with paganism and it's filled with idolatry. often or not, you cannot even speak Greek without mentioning a Greek god, right? Because the Greek god, like for example, and that's in the Greek language is how we came about with a more evil language, which is English. You understand? Like you get the English word logo, right? You have this logo on your shirt. Logo is a Greek word. You understand? Right. Logos is a Greek word, right? What you got? Ethnicity, right? That's the Greek word. That's the Greek. That goes in the New Testament with the word. What's that thing called again? Gentile. Search up the word Gentile in the Greek, and that's where you get the word ethnicity from. You understand? But just to point out the idolatry, the study of the earth is called what? Geography, right? The beginning of that word is called what? How you pronounce it?
Geo.
Geo goes back to the word Gaia in Greek. It goes back to the god of the earth, right? Which is a woman, right? So often than not, a lot of times when you speak the Greek language, you can't even speak it without mentioning a pagan idol god. You understand? So let's go ahead and read this. We're going to be reading the origin of the Greek Septuagint and how it came about. I want to set up something else. Hold on. You know what? Go ahead and start reading it. Let me zoom in first. Let me zoom in some more. I think that's too much. You good right there.
I'm still not Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander. I'm going to put this on screen. And then boom.
Alexander reigned 12 years, and after him Ptolemy Soter 41. Then Philadelphus took over the royal power in Egypt and held it for 39 years. And he had the law translated and released from slavery some 120,000 natives of Jerusalem who were slaves.
So this is Ptolemy II. He's called Ptolemy the Philadelphus. Philadelphus is a crazy Greek name. It means my brother's lover or lover of your brother, right? Sometimes people like to flip it and say, it just means you're friendly to your brother. No, that thing straight up means my brother's lover or my lover, my brother's crazy. Lover. You understand? Go ahead. Huh? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Go ahead.
Who were slaves in Egypt for the following reason. Demetrius of Phalerum, or Halerum, who was in charge of the king's library, was anxious to collect, if he could, all the books in the inhabited world.
All right, so what was this library? This was the Library of Alexandria, right? There's only a couple, this is like I want to say 100-something difference, 100 years difference compared to the time period of Maccabees, right? During this time, the Egyptian ruler, Ptolemy, his family had control over Israel and the territory. This is during the time of when Daniel prophesied in Daniel chapter 11 of not the Seleucid, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word? Dang. I can't even recall it. There's a word for it. I can't recall it. It was war. It's basically, it don't matter what the word is. It was war between the Seleucid Empire and Egypt. Basically war between them. Daniel prophesied it. And at this time, where we're reading, the Egyptians had control over Israel. Go ahead.
Was anxious to collect, if he could, all the books in the inhabited world. And if he heard of or saw any book worthy of study, he would buy it. And so he endowed...
Oh, so the library they're referring to is the Library of Alexandria. Alexander came to Egypt, he conquered it, and he established a territory called Alexandria, and he built a famous library there. He conquered Egypt, and there was a place near the sea, near the Mediterranean Sea, on Egypt, that he called Alexandria. It was like a city, yeah.
And so he endeavored to meet the wishes of the king, for he was very much devoted to the art of book collecting. Mm-hmm. Now, when Ptolemy once asked him how many tens of thousands of books he had already gathered together, he replied that the present number was about 200,000, but that within a short time he would assemble some 500,000. He added that he had been informed that among the Jews also there were many works of their law, which were worthy of study and of a place in the king's library. But being written in the script and language of this people, there would be no small trouble to have translated into Greek tongue. For he said, through their script seemed to be similar to peculiar Syrian.
So, like I said, when we keep reading, what we're ultimately going to read about is they have the Alexandrian the Library of Alexandria. They're collecting all this material, all this knowledge that existed at the time, and one of the things that they wanted to collect was a copy of our Hebrew text in their Greek language, right? Because these were Edomites, you understand, that conquered Egypt. You understand? So the problem was, go ahead, keep reading.
Aramaic writing and their language to sound like the other. It was, as it happened, of a distinct type. There was, however, nothing, he said, to prevent them from having these books translated and having the writings of this people also in their library, for he had abundant resources from which to meet the expense. And so the king, deciding that Demetrius had given him excellent advice to how to realize his ambition of obtaining a large number of books, wrote to the high priest of the Jews that this might be done.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Now a certain
But don't worry, we ain't gonna read all of it. Well, we're gonna read this, but go ahead.
Now a certain I don't know how to spell that one. Artisius. Arteus,
yeah,
who was one of the king's closest friends and was respected by him for his discreet behavior, had even before this often made up his mind to urge the king to set free the Jewish captives.
Okay, so this is what I was going to say. So one of the things you have to keep in mind is this is Josephus writing this, and Josephus is like I said, an Israelite, and he is a historian, but when you read the Josephus, which I read, you understand? I sat down and read through this Josephus, and it clearly had an audience that he was writing to. And the key audience that he was writing to isn't Israelites, isn't Jews, because a lot of things that he writes in it, right? Because from his perspective, and what he's recording here, is that it's going to be a joyful thing. It was a joyful, great thing that we had our Hebrew ancient text in our language be rewritten in this disgusting pagan Greek language. You understand? And it was not. Because we're going to see it wasn't. You understand? Go ahead.
To urge the king to set free the Jewish captives. Throughout his kingdom, and the judging this to be a favorable moment for his request, he first spoke of it to the commanders of the bodyguards, Susbius Terentium and Andreas, and urged them to second his effort in the matter on which he was about to petition to the king. And so, when he had secured the assent of the forementioned men, Artisius went to the king and addressed him in the following words: "We ought not, O king, to allow ourselves to be deceived, but to show the truth as it is. Mm-hmm. For since we have decided not only to transcribe the laws of the Jews, but also to translate them for your pleasure. By what right should we do this while so many Jews are slaves in your kingdom?"
All right, so this guy, what it seems like is that he wants to take advantage of this situation, right? He wants something that's extremely valuable to us, right? Because a lot of times, we live in this era, and we live in this present era where, the Bible is just something that, you put in your what's that song by Rick Ross? I drive around with the Bible on my dash. Yeah, that's a throwback. I'm showing the age right now, right? So I drive around with the Bible on my dash. You understand? But and it's just the Bible is just something you just throw away or you find in a hotel drawer. You understand? Absolutely. But in these times, no, it wasn't. It was a papyrus. It was a scroll. It was something that you leave in the build. It was something you had to come to us to read the Torah. You understand? So it was in Salakia. And the scriptures hold so much more of a significance since at this time, one of our most valuable treasures wasn't even with us anymore, which is the what? That brother, man. Oh, man. That man. What tribe are you again? You're a tribe of Benjamin. Listen to my sisters out there. Listen, he's a single man. Listen. I'm telling you, that's Captain Alia right there. Listen, he's a single man. Listen, he's polygynous. So get in line. You understand? Get in line. Right? So our most valuable treasure was the Ark of the Covenant. We didn't even have that anymore. So the second to that was our scripts. All right? So go ahead. So he wants to take advantage. You want this? So free those Israelites over there from Egypt. Go ahead.
Accordance, therefore, with their magnanimity and goodness, set them free from their misery, since the God who gave them their laws is the same who presides over your kingdom.
Right.
As I have succeeded in learning after much study, for both they and we worship the God who created the universe, whom we call by the appropriate term, Zeus, giving him that name from the fact that he breathes life into all creatures. Do you, then, for the honor of God, restore their freedom to those who worship him with peculiar devotion, but have deprived of their native land and their manner of life, which they led there.
Where you at?
Led there with like the 23.
Okay, we'll jump down. So the point is, he's just trying to convince them, listen. Point is, listen, you want this most valuable thing from them? You got a freedom boys. Right. Yeah, you want that? If you do this, they're going to give you that. You understand?
How can you expect to understand the God of their... How can you expect to understand the words of their God while
you got to really speak in the
how can you expect to understand the word of their God while you have them enslaved?
Right, that's a good point. Let's go ahead and keep reading.
When Aristeus had spoken these words, the king looked at him with a cheerful and happy expression and asked, how many tens of thousands to be set free do you suppose there will be? And when Andreas, who was standing beside him, replied that there would be a little more than 110,000, the king said, it is indeed but a small gift that you are asking in Artesius. But Sobius and the others present said that he ought to make a thank offering worthy for his own magnanimity to God who had bestowed the kingdom on him. And so, being gently persuaded by him, he gave orders that when they paid the soldiers their wages, they should also pay them 120 drachmas for every captive they had. And as for what they requested, he promised to publish a decree convinced in liberal terms and giving effect to the proposal of Artesius.
All right, we're gonna have to get down. We're gonna have to get down to the point where they get these Jews, have regard to justice for the impunity command on us to set the Jews free. Let me see, huh? Hey, Babu Shah. Hold on 1 second. Officer Malika, Babu Shah, grab us 2 bottles of water. What are you gonna ask?
Forgive me for not catching it when you said it. What is this source of information again?
This is the Josephus. All right, he was a Jew that lived in the 1st century, and he basically had this information at this time, right? Our people had this information at this time, right? Another person who collaborates, just in case you need a second source, another person who collaborates what Josephus is writing here is another Jew who lived in the 1st century called Philo. I want to say Philo of Alexandria, right? He was a Jew. He was a Hellenized Jew. Hellenized Jew means a Jew who followed Greek culture, right? But he understood he was an Israelite, right? Double dipper. There you go. We have it regardless of just set the Jews free. I want to get to the point. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to get to this point, man. Oh, throw it out. Come on.
I might just take that one for myself too.
Done. Go ahead. Let's read this part. Let's start from here.
Where? Okay. When this had been done on a lavish scale in accordance with the king's wish, he offered Demetrius to present a memorial of the decree concerning the copying of the Jewish books. For nothing used to be directed by the kings in haphazard manner, but everything was done with great care. Therefore, a copy of the memorial and of the letters had been set down here.
So this is after he freed the slaves, the Israelite slaves that was in Egypt. This is after supposedly he gave them 120 drachmas, which is basically the term for Greek currency, all right? After he gave each of the Jews 120 drachmas for them being slaves and freeing them, let me share the screen. He's now putting Demetrius in charge of making sure that a copy of the word is brought over to Egypt. Copy of our Hebrew text is brought over. Go ahead and keep reading again. Where you left off.
But everything was done with great care. Therefore, a copy of the memorial and of the letters have been set down here, as well as a number of the dedicatory offerings sent to Jerusalem, and the workmanship of each, so that the great skillfulness and the craftsman may be quite clear to any who sees this account and that the artificer of each may become known for the outstanding quality of his work. Now, for the copy of the memorial is ready. Now, as for the copy of the memorial, it reads as follows.
Go ahead.
To the great king from Demetrius,
We don't need to hear this copy. Hold on.
Okay, I'll praise this.
Yeah, we don't need to hear that copy. Hold on. But it was necessary that this should be found. For this reason, tell us the full historians of main dimension. Okay. This is what we need to read right here. Hold on. We'll start from right here.
On the ground that it was sacred and not to be revealed by profane mouths. If then, O king, it be your pleasure, write to the high priest of the Jews to send 6 elders from each tribe, who are most versed in their laws, in order that when we have learned from them the clear and consistent meaning of these and obtain an accurate translation, we may have a collection of these books which shall be worthy of their contents and of your design.
Go ahead.
Such, then, was the memorial, and when it was submitted, the king ordered a letter to be written about these matters to Eleazar, the high priest of the Jews, informing him at the same time of the release of Jewish slaves in their country, and for the making of mixing bowls, shallow bowls, and libation bowls, he sent 50 talents, weight of gold, and incalculable number of precious stones. He also ordered the keepers of the chests in which the stones lay to leave the craftsmen themselves the choice of whatever kind they wished. He also directed that money to the amount of 100 talents be given to the priest for sacrifice.
Right, so he's trying to buy them off. He did the thing with the slaves. He gave them money. Now he's trying to give them some gifts to try to what's the word I'm looking for? Bribe them even more to give them the scriptures so it can be translated in Greek. All right, where you left off at?
And other necessities, 42.
Jump down right here.
King Ptolemy to Eleazar the high priest, greeting. There are many Jews settled in my kingdom who are made captives by Persians when they were in power, and whom my father honored and enrolled some of them in his army with high pay and entrusting to others, who came to Egypt with him, the guarding of the fortress in order that they might inspire the Egyptians with fear. And when I took over the royal power, I showed kindness to all men, especially to your fellow citizens, of whom I have set free over 100,000 captive slaves.
And this was the letter to the high priest at this time. Go ahead.
Paying their owners the redemption money out of my own purse. Those who were in the prime of life I enrolled in the army list, and on others who might be of service to, what did I say? To ends and occupy positions of trust at court, I have conferred this honor in the belief that I should thus be making a welcome and a very considerable offering to God in return for his providential care of me, being also desirous to confer a favor both on these Jews and on all those throughout the habitable world. I have decided to have your law translated, and when it has been rendered from the Hebrew into Greek text, to have it deposited in my library. You will, therefore, do well to select from each tribe 6 good men of advanced age, who by reason of their age are well versed in the laws and will be able to make an accurate translation of it. For I believe that from this achievement the greatest glory will occur to us. And I have sent Andreas, the commander of the bodyguard, Artiacius, men whom I hold in the greatest honor, to discuss these matters with you. And by their hands I have also sent dedicatory offerings as first fruits for the temple, and 100 talents of silver for sacrifices and other purposes. And so, if you write to us what your pleasure is, you will confer a favor on us.
Right. So all of this, I know it's long, but this is what happened. This is how the Greek Septuagint came about. It took place with what's the old boy name again? Ptolemy the second. Not P. It's a Greek word. You don't pronounce the P. And everyone does that. You know what I mean? Ptolemy. His name is. It's all good. No, I ain't Greek either. Right. So Ptolemy the second of Philadelphus. He was the one who led the charge that six elders of each of the tribes should be sent to Egypt, who are well versed in the law, to basically translate from the Hebrew into the Greek language, right? I just want to get straight to the point, but Josephus puts so much here. Yes. Yeah. First of all, all praises. Hopefully, I don't lose to nobody. All praises.
I'm reading.
I ain't losing. Hold on. Show you all the listening bills. Let's see. They were declared opposite Jerusalem.
It's the same Eliezer that died earlier.
No. No, this is another Eliezer. It's a common name in among our tribe. Okay. So the point is that so far now we see, right? When we read Josephus, it explains the steps on how the Greek Septuagint came about, right? The second thing is that we have to ask ourselves, as Hebrew Israelites, did we really see it, even with the slaves being freed, even with us receiving these talents and gifts from Ptolemy? The question is, did we see it as a positive thing at that time? And I would reckon that we absolutely did not, right? Because at that time, there was something that we called the 10th of Tevet, right? The Tevet is a Hebrew month. I want to say it's the 10th month. You have the 10th of Tevet, right? 10th is the day, Tevet is the month, and we dedicate this month as a day of fasting. Right. You know why we fast? Because we said that the day that this Greek Septuagint was made, it was as if darkness covered the earth. That's what we said. When our Hebrew scriptures was converted into Greek language, it said it was as if the world got darker, as if the world got more evil, because our language was translated into the disgusting Greek. Right? Let me pull this up. Hold on. This is in the Jewish Encyclopedia. Let me pull this up. Yeah, you know what? Let me have you do this. Captain Officer Malachi, manage this for me. I want to get through this real quick. Manage that for me, Waukesha. I'm going to put it on the screen and you just click on it. The water. There you go. Let me put it right now. See, and bam. There you go. Straight down the. There you go. So we have the Jewish Encyclopedia. Scroll down. Let me see. So you see the Hebrew month of Tibet. Oh, what do you say? Yeah, you share the screen. No, left. Look left. First one, yeah. You gotta scroll up here, yeah. Scroll up, scroll down a little bit. So it's the Hebrew month Tibet. What this is basically all different like events that took place on this month that's basically recorded as important, right? What happened in the month of Tibet was when the Babylonians came and destroyed our temple. So it's recorded, right, in the encyclopedia, right? Other things, well, I think it was the same month that we rededicated the temple after we left the Persian captivity. You understand? So different things were recorded during that month and it's put down. One of the things is, let me see, Tibet 28th, Slaki, it wasn't the 10th of Tibet, it was the 8th of Tibet, the 8th day of that month. Go ahead and read that right there. Highlight that, it says Tibet 1 and 2.
Can you zoom in, please?
Other way.
Other way. A little bit more? All right, that's good.
Second paragraph, it says Tibet.
Gone. Tibet 1 and 2. 7th and 8th days of Hanukkah, Tibet 5. See.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, there you go.
Gone. Tibet 1 and 2. 7th and 8th days of Hanukkah, Tibet 5. See Hezek. XXX.
Hanukkah is referring to Hanukkah. On that same month, that's when we have the day of Hanukkah. So like, yeah.
21. RH 18b.
So it wasn't the
Tibet
10th month. Go ahead.
8. Day on which the translation of the Septuagint was completed.
Uh-huh.
When the earth was shrouded in darkness for 3 days.
What did it say?
When the earth was shrouded in darkness for 3 days.
In that same time, the earth was shrouded in darkness for 3 days, right? So that's something called the 8th of Tibet. Our people did not see the Greek translation being translated, our word being translated into Greek as a positive thing whatsoever. All right, I'm going to put something else up on the screen. Hold on 1 second. Just going to put a little bit more information on this. There you go. All right. And before he reads that, let's deal with a couple of examples, right? Okay. So one of the things that Christians love to do, and this is the reason why they read the ESV because of the Greek Septuagint, is they'll make points like the apostles, Jesus Christ, they were referencing the Greek Septuagint, right? When they was reading the scriptures and they was preaching to the people and talking to them and talking about the word, they were reading from the Greek Septuagint. What's wrong with that? That would imply what? Huh? What would that imply?
That they approve of the Septuagint.
Huh?
That they will approve of it since they're copying from it.
Nope. Think about it. Christians would say that they were reading from the Greek Septuagint, the apostles in Christ. That would imply that Christ and apostles did what?
They followed it?
No.
They approved of it?
Think about it. Huh? No. Think about it.
That is
What's the Greek Septuagint is reading in what language?
Greek.
So you have to know what language to read it.
Greek.
So they're implying that the apostles in Christ spoke Greek, right?
Okay.
Now the problem with that is that you have times in the New Testament where the apostles say things like this. Let's read this real quick. It's in the book of Matthew, right? Let's get the book of Matthew. Why not? Let's do 5 and 29. Let's read that. This is the reason why we get certain Christian doctrines from. We get it from that Greek language. You know what I mean? We get it from that Greek culture. Right? And that's not coming from Hebrew Israelites. Right?
5 and 18?
Yeah, 5 and 29.
The book of Matthew.
Now let one of the brothers on there read it. Let Captain Shamwala read it.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 29.
It out.
And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
Now, cast into hell. If Christ is speaking the Greek language, and he's reading from the Greek Septuagint, that word hell in Greek would be what? What's the Greek word for hell? Let's pull up the blue letter. Let's pull up the blue letter. I'm talking about you, officer. Let's pull that blue letter up. Let's go to Matthew 5:29. If he's reading Greek, the word that he's reading would be Hades, right? Now, today we see Hades as maybe a Disney cartoon, or we see Hades as, oh yeah, he's a Greek god. At that time, Hades was an actual living, breathing god to these people, the Greeks. You understand? Christ is running around in Jerusalem speaking to Hebrew-speaking people, and he's telling them, listen, if you don't cast out that eye, it's better you cast out that eye than you go to this Greek god, Hades. You understand? That's the problem with the Greek Septuagint, and that's the problem when you deal with these Christians, and they'll say that they were actually referencing the Greek Septuagint. Because, it's Matthew 5:29. Because when Christ was alive, was he referencing from the New Testament? There was no New Testament. He was the New Testament. You understand? You know? But if he was speaking Greek, then he must be telling people you're going to go to Hades, that Greek god. You understand? Right? And that's the problem. Now, is there evidence that Christ did not speak Greek and he spoke Hebrew?
Yes.
What? Like what?
When he was on the cross.
Prove it. Prove it.
When he was on the
Prove it. Prove it.
was that Hebrew?
Now ask me. Prove it. You left out the H.
Yeah.
Press the Matt 529. Oh, no, it's tools. My bad. It's tools. I think you have to press tools. Yeah, there you go. Now scroll down. Oh, no, that's Greek we're gay. It's another one then. Hold on. Who got it? You got it already?
Is it Matthew 27:46?
Go ahead and read that. Let me hear it.
It says, and about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama
So like you got to use camp voice so they can hear you.
Oh, it said, and about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
Now, why it sounds weird is because that's Aramaic. That was inserted there, but the problem with it is that that alone is proof of evidence that Christ didn't even speak Aramaic. Aramaic, just like Arabic came from Aramaic. Aramaic is a derivative of Hebrew language. It's not exactly Lashon Kodash. You understand? So that right there is Aramaic, but yeah, that's Aramaic. When you read it, it's evidence that Christ didn't speak Aramaic. Because he says, Eli, Eli. Eli is who in the scriptures?
Elijah.
No. Eli is who? No. Eli is a person in the scriptures.
Oh, Elias.
No. Eli. There's a man named Eli in the scriptures.
I'm forgetting about
There's a
that.
man named Eli in the scriptures.
I got it.
The high priest in Samuel's. But when you keep reading it. Keep reading what you just read.
Oh, okay. So Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
Now, how do you say my God in Hebrew? Huh? No.
No, that's our. That's
No. How do you say my God? Yes. How do you say my God in Hebrew? Think about it. There's somebody in this room. He's a hint. How do you say my God in ancient Hebrew? Huh? No. It's Aliyah. Give Malachi a hand. He got that. It's Aliyah. You say it's Aliyah. That's how you say Elijah in Hebrew, which means my God. You understand? But he's saying, he said Eli, Eli, right? Eli, Eli, which is not Elias, right? That's why how you pronounce, I know that's Isaiah. There's another way to say Elijah. Let me get it real quick. I think it's in Luke chapter 17. No, Elias is Elijah, Salakia. I got it confused with Isaiah's name in the Greek language, right? Elias is how you say it in that language, in that point, right? But he doesn't use Elias. He says Eli, right? But when he says Eli, what did the people thought he was saying? Keep reading in that verse, Salakia. Matthew chapter 26. Hopefully I'm not confusing nobody, right? Or hopefully I'm not confusing anyone, right? Elias is how you say it. Elias is how you say Elijah. But there he says Eli, Eli, and they assume that he said, go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 47, some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, this man calleth for Elias.
He calls for who?
Elias.
Why do they believe that he's calling for Elias when he said Eli?
How similar they sound?
No, not similar at all. Eli and Elijah are two different names completely. So why? Those are two different completely Hebrew names. Eli is not how you say Elijah. But they heard Eli and they assumed he's speaking about Elijah. Because he did it, and I'm going to say this. He did not say Eli at all. Originally, he did not say Eli at all. The context tells you that whatever he said, they assumed that he's calling for who? Elias, which is who? Elijah. They're assuming he's calling for Elijah in that context. If he's calling for Eli, why didn't he just say Eli? They weren't. Because that's proof of evidence that he was speaking the Lashon Kodash, not the Aramaic.
And they was confused with what he was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go ahead and get this. So that's proof of evidence that he spoke the Lashon Kodash. But what's another clear point that he actually spoke Hebrew and not Greek? Let's get it before we read this real quick, and that'll be it. That'll be the end. Before we continue a little bit more off in the next class. Officer Malika, what you got? How do you know Christ spoke Hebrew? This is Mr. Go-Getter, man. Listen, I have faith. I have faith in the Most High for my brothers, man. How do you know Christ spoke Hebrew? Listen, Precept Master always put his hand first. Look at that.
That's Acts 26:14.
Go ahead and read that. Oh, you have that, Cap?
I think I'm leaving on the same track.
Okay, Acts 26 and verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue,
Uh-huh.
Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
right? And this is more evidence that Christ did not speak the Greek language. He spoke Hebrew, right? There's a lot of falters. There's a lot of problems when it comes to the New Testament when you believe that Christ and the apostles spoke Greek. You can make an argument with Paul, of course. You can make an argument with Luke. He was brought into the truth by Paul. You understand? You can make an argument with these guys. But the rest of these apostles, like Peter, John, James, there's no evidence that these guys spoke Greek. So it means that they weren't quoting from the Greek Septuagint, which was a poor, terrible manuscript. Go ahead, let's read this. The 10th of Tevet.
I got one too.
You got one?
One last one.
All right, go ahead. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it is.
Luke chapter 4 and verse 15.
Uh-huh.
And he taught in the synagogue, being glorified of all. So when he was on the Sabbath day teaching in the synagogue, we read our scriptures. And the scriptures were in Hebrew. So that's another evidence that he was speaking Hebrew. It's just a wild trip.
It gotta be straight to the point. Only reason why is because
I think you get us some more solid one, dude.
okay, if you find a solid one, I'll take it. But the only reason why is because a Christian would just say no. He was just quoting from the Greek Septuagint. He was quoting from the Greek. He stood in front of them and spoke Greek, which is absolutely stupidity, because he's in a Hebrew synagogue, standing in front of Hebrew people. Yeah, but the argument you would use against them would be it would be common sense. It would be logic. You got to be able to pull scriptures to combat them. Yeah. All praises. Hey, no problem. Now let's get this. This is what I want. Let's get the 10th of Tevet. And what was it about? Share the screen, Baba Kashai.
And zoom in, please. 'Cause I don't know where.
Matthew 16, 18. Let me see.
Did it? Oh, as far as it can go?
No, I think you can go further.
My eyes aren't too well locked.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. All right, where am I reading from?
The top.
Okay. The Talmud.
So like it, you got to share the screen though.
The Talmud tells how King Ptolemy died.
So like it. Go ahead, read it again.
The Talmud. You want me to read the
Go ahead and read it. Yeah.
The Talmud, Megalath 9b, tells how King Ptolemy died 246 BCE, placed 72 Jewish scholars in different rooms and told them to translate the Torah.
You know, I understand Israel gets simple, but we absolutely do not prescribe to the Talmud. But it is a historical text, right? It's a historical text that people added on to on and on and on and on. And it began with us and being taken over by Amalek, by our oppressors. But go ahead and read it.
Placed 72 Jewish scholars in different rooms and told them to translate the Torah. In an act of divine providence, the 72 translations all matched each other. The translation became known as the Septuagint, the Septuagint,
yeah.
which means the 70 in Greek in reference to the general amount of scholars who translated it. This,
scroll down, Baba Kashai.
Right there.
Go ahead, keep going.
Despite advantages to teaching the non-Jewish world the written Torah, the Torah sages did not welcome the opportunity. The day when the Torah was written in Greek was as unfortunate for Israel as the day of Golden Calf.
See, like I was saying before about the Josephus, when you read the Josephus, Josephus makes it seem like it was a positive thing, even though it would have been a positive thing for us at that time because we was receiving our people that was being freed as slaves from Egypt. We was receiving, and I can't even be happy about us receiving those the Greek money and all those different possessions and stuff like that. That wasn't a fair trade for our Hebrew text. But I can understand how our people can be happy for it. The trade led to the freedom of our people that was slaves in Egypt. I can understand that. Right, I can understand that. Right, there was children that was in slavery in Egypt, men, women, so on and so forth. But in the end of it, this Hebrew text was the direct text we obtained from our God, passed in the hands of prophets, passed in the hands of priests, came from Moses, you understand? And now it being translated into a pagan, idolatrous language, it wasn't a proper trade at all.
I can understand that because a lot of our people died for this text and the scripts and just willfully handed over to these other nations for their own use.
All right.
I can understand that.
Go ahead.
All right, come on. They even decreed that the day the Septuagint was completed, the 8th day of the month of Tiv in the winter was to be marked on the Jewish calendar as a day of darkness.
Marked as what?
A day of darkness.
Marked as a day of darkness. Keep going.
It was combined with two other tragedies. It was combined with two other tragedies around that date. The day of Ezra and the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem.
And we know how terrible those days were. The breaching the walls of Jerusalem, that's the destruction that Babylon brought, right? The day of Ezra, when our people was having sexual intercourse with those heathen women and bringing forth children that weren't fully adopted in their culture. You understand? Those were dark days for Israel. You feel me? And we're comparing those days to the day our writings were converted into the Greek language. You understand? Go ahead.
And to create a public fast day, Asara B'Teves, the 10th of Teves. Perhaps the reason was because they saw that the translation would open the door for usurpers and new religions claiming to supplant or succeed the Torah.
You hear that? They understood this was just the first step. With our language, our culture being translated into this Greek language, this is only a first step for them to do what? Read that part one more time.
Perhaps the reason was because they saw that the translation would open the door for usurpers and new religions claiming to supplant or succeed the Torah.
Such things like what we're about to read, the virgin birth, right? A woman just giving birth with no child, no husband, no seed. That's not it. That's not of Israel. That's not of the God of this Bible. That's of these heathens, right? You can find many women in Greek mythology having children by gods. You understand, right? There's many of these guys, these clowns that you can read about. Hercules, Zeus was a maniac. He had a new rib every week. You understand? He had a new partner every week. Go ahead.
Mistranslation of the virgin birth. Mm-hmm. History has proven the sages right for their ambivalence about translating the Torah into a language that the masses could read. There are numerous examples, but perhaps the most famous is the mistranslation that led to the Christian doctrine of the virgin birth.
Go ahead, scroll down. Salakia, Malachi. Scroll down. You good. Scroll down.
The Christian Gospels attribute it to a verse in the prophet Isaiah 7:14.
All right, Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Let's read 7 and 14. Yeah, let's read that. Let's read Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. This is one of the problems that came along with the Greek Septuagint, right? Let's read this.
I got it.
Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name.
A virgin is going to conceive and bear a son. In their Greek Septuagint, they purposely use a Greek word that deals with a actual virgin who has not involved herself in intercourse. Even though there's a literal Greek word in their language that deals with a virgin who's a young woman. But they purposely used the word that deals with a woman who had no sex. And they put that in that manuscript. You understand? Go ahead and keep reading. No, read that. Let's go back up here.
The Christian Gospels attribute it to a verse in the prophet Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. The Hebrew word there is not virgin, but alma, which means a young girl.
A what?
Which means a young girl.
So when Isaiah wrote this, and when our people was reading this in the New Testament, they were reading this Hebrew word. That means a young woman. That's why there's no emphasis on, of course this is the Messiah. He had no father. The prophecy said he was supposed to have a virgin birth. There's nobody who focuses on that at all. You understand? Because we understood that, one, he was supposed to be made from a virgin woman, in referring to a young woman. And if they understood that, that meant that they weren't reading this Greek manuscript. You understand? They weren't largely reading this Greek manuscript. Go ahead and keep reading.
But Alma, which means a young girl. Now, a young girl can be a virgin. But if the prophet wanted to emphasize the miraculous nature of the event and leave no room for misinterpretation, there is a better unique Hebrew word for virgin, Betula. The Greek word, however, for young girl and virgin is the same.
That's not true. There's a Greek word. Hold on. Let me put this up. You know what's funny? I can't even remember his name. I don't think it was Origen. Who was it? It wasn't Philo. There's an Israelite that lived in the first century who saw this and said, I gotta now dedicate my life and make a manuscript. He made it, not manuscript, but translation. He made a translation in the first century where he rewrites all the scriptures in Greek using more better words that are closely aligned with the Hebrew language. And he fixed that in the Greek manuscript, right? He changed the word and he showed that there was 2 words in the Greek language for a virgin. Hold on, let me see this real quick. Let me put this up real quick. So like, you can keep reading. Let me put this up.
The Greek word, however, for young girl and virgin is the same. They have only one word for both. Therefore, the Septuagint, when the translation of the prophet Isaiah was written, they used the Greek word that means either young girl or virgin in the Latin translation. Only the word virgin already appears. Latin readers in the Roman Catholic Church saw this as an unmistakable reference to the doctrine of immaculate conception. One of the reasons the Protestants departed from the Catholic Church many centuries later was because Luther and others complained about the mistranslation they refused to accept.
Keep going.
They refused to accept the doctrine of immaculate conception simply because there was biblical scholars, because they were biblical scholars enough to know that that is not what it said in the original. How the Septuagint changed the Jewish world. Beyond the later mistranslations, the Septuagint had an immediate impact on the Jews living less than a century away from the Chanukah story. Well, this is a Hanukkah story. It gave a dangerous stamp of approval to Greek language and culture. After all, the Septuagint was authored by great scholars of the Torah. It opened the door for Jews to use all of the Greek names freely thereafter. This legitimization.
Where are you?
Right there.
I can't see. Where are you at? You said right there. How am I supposed to know what?
Salaki, the first paragraph. Yeah, legitimization right there.
Legitimization.
This legitimization.
Go ahead. It's good.
This legitimization of the Greek language allowed Greek culture and values to enter the Jewish world. From the time of the Septuagint onward, it was very hard to draw a line and say, we are going to take this amount of Greek culture, but we're not going to take the rest. What is going to happen is that they are going to take the rest.
And keep in mind, this, like we said before, this takes place before the Maccabees, right? By the time Maccabees, we was like right here. We're done. We got to go war with these people. We finished, right? But before the era of the Maccabees, this is what took place. The transferring of our words into Greek language, right? More interference with what was going on within our country, with the establishing of our high priest. All of these things, which has led to the Maccabean revolt. You understand? So let me see. Was that all of it right there? All right. All right, finish that off.
They are going to become more Greek than Greeks, which is a Jewish trait. The Jews are super Germans, super socialists, and are super Americans.
Where you at? Where?
The word right there, they are.
Yeah, read that one more time. They are?
They are going to become more Greek than the Greeks.
And you know what's funny? We have evidence of that because this is just like that. I want to say, was it in the 90s? Or, Chief Minister Solomon, When was that movement with Malcolm X and all the Muslims? When did that start? Yeah, like the 80s, 90s? 60s? Okay. Yeah, just like the 60s, when a lot of our people were going into that nation of Islam, Muslims, following the Quran. These brothers were trying to be more Arab than the Arab. They were trying to outdo the Arab man. You understand? And I despise hearing and I love my brothers and sisters, but I despise hearing them speak that accent, that Quran, that Muslim accent, Arabic. It's not Arabic, brother. It's Arabic. Trying to be more Arab than the Arabs. Go ahead and read that.
They are going to become more Greek than the Greeks.
Call me Muhammad. All right, go ahead.
Which is a Jewish trait.
Uh-huh.
The Jews were super Germans, super socialists, and are super Americans. Because
and that's true. That's absolutely true, right? Right?
I can only imagine. Because the burden is upon them to prove themselves.
And this doesn't sound like who the world calls so-called Jewish people. This curse has always been upon us because I remember I was sitting down and was talking to our brother Tazwan about this, that when you look at the grand scope of our history, there's been more time of us being in captivity, more time of us being in oppression than just being free as a people, right? And that's not the fault of the Most High at all. That's on us. But that makes more sense when you look at this line. When you keep that in your mind and you read this, it makes sense that we have that trait where we always have to prove ourselves, right? So let's put that camera back on. So this is just a little bit of information about the LXX, the Greek Septuagint, how it wasn't a positive thing. It was a negative thing for our people when this thing came about, right? And it only brought more problems later on. The last point I could say about it is because we talked about this when it came to the Trinity, when we was going about and discussing the Trinity. Who remembers how many words are there in the Greek language for God? Captain Ali. Captain Ali, you got it, Hawk. You got it, Hawk. Come on. How many words for God is there in the Greek language? Huh? Give the brother a hand, man. Give the brother a hand. Now, do you remember what that word is? That's bonus. You got it? It's all good. So the only Greek word there is for God is theos. That's the only Greek word. It's theos, right? That's where a lot of Christians and pastors, they say that they went to school to study theology, right? Ology is like the study of. Right, study of God, right? So you got theos is the only Greek word. So a lot of times for us as the children of Israel, we had one most God who we worship and we sacrifice to, but we understood that outside of that most high God, there were other gods, right? Who are the other gods that we understood of? What's the verse for that? You got to prove that. You know Israel, you got to prove everything. You got to prove everything. You can't just say anything anymore. Right? What you got? A precept?
I'm pulling.
What about you, Malachi? You got a precept? We didn't believe in we didn't believe in the concept of just one God, right? That's where you get that term monotheism from. Right? There's just the complete absence of any God outside of just one. When really we were monolatrious, we believed in multiple gods. Not in the sense of worship, right? The Most High God was the only God we worship. But there was other gods outside of him, and we'll prove that. Give me that word right there. Officer Malachi, search that word up. Monolatriism. It's a good word. Monolatriism. It's a good word. M-O-N-O-L-A. Triism. There you go. It came up. just the meeting, right there. Bob. Who got a precept? Nobody. You got yours. Go ahead. Go ahead, Salakia.
I got the book of St. John, chapter 10 and verse 34. Yahweh shall answer them, is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods?
We are gods, right? So there you go. You see an example where our people believe in more gods, and that concept of gods there isn't talking about for divine worship or any of that nonsense, but it's speaking in that context. It's speaking about us being gods and being powers, and being superior to other nations on this earth. Let's read this definition first.
Monolatry is a belief in multiple gods while worshiping only one.
Monolatry.
Huh?
Try to read it one more time.
Monolatry.
Okay, go ahead.
Monolatry is the belief in multiple gods while worshiping only one deity.
While worshiping only one deity, because as the children of Israel, we understood that angels were gods. We even called angels gods, right? Let's get the book of Hosea. Someone give me the book of Hosea, chapter 12. No. Yeah, someone give me the book of Hosea, and another person give me Genesis. Genesis, when Jacob rested the angel.
Hosea 12 and what?
Hold on 1 second. Let me get this real quick.
4?
What does it say?
Yea, he had power over the angel.
That's good. That's it. You got it. Sharp brother right here, man. Right? Who got the when Jacob rested the angel? Oh, Salakia. When Jacob wrestled in Genesis. Yeah. Precept master, man. He's never going into retirement.
Really, when you got it?
Huh? Not yours. I want to read theirs first, and then we read yours. Because it wasn't more than one instance when Jacob wrestled. He only wrestled one instance, but it says two different things here. Right. Who got it? You got it, Cap? Yeah, straight to the point when you wrestled. Yeah.
The book of Genesis, chapter 32 and verse 28.
Uh-huh.
And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed.
Right. So the person that he's fighting says he had power with man and with God. But when you keep reading, Jacob said that he wrestled with God and he lived. That's why he names the place, I think, P something. Keep reading on it. Peniel. There you go. Peniel.
Yeah. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou doest ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved.
See what Jacob says? Jacob says, I have seen God face to face. But we know, like Moses says in the book of Exodus, no man can see the Lord face to face. So we know this was in the Most High. Go ahead and read that. Hosea 12.
I want to start from 3 and to get to build up a little bit.
Go ahead.
The book of Hosea, chapter 12 and verse 3. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with God.
Right.
Yea, he had power over the angel.
Right.
And prevailed.
Right. So now we knew what that was. It was an angel, but he called it a god. Right. And remember who wrote Genesis? It was Moses who scribed it. So if there was an issue and a problem with that, why didn't Moses just correct it? Why didn't he put the Hebrew word for angel there rather than the Hebrew word Elohim? You understand? So our people understood that there was more than just one God. There was gods, but there was only one Most High God that we worship. Salaki, did you ever finish reading this?
I just went up to the highlighted part and I stopped.
I think you had it.
Yeah, I just read the first sentence.
I think the first part was enough. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, no, that was a statement. I was going to say, even our Father told us, don't put no other God before him.
That's a good point.
He said it's out of his mouth.
That's a good point. But let's read this. That's a good point. Let's read this, though. Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. That's a solid point. Let's read this. I always use this one. This is simple to use.
7 and 1.
Yep. 7 and 1. So someone may be asking at this point, like, okay, boom, why y'all talking about this? Well, you got to keep in mind how we started this conversation. We talked about how many words are there in the Greek language. There's only one, theos. If our people were using the Greek Septuagint at that time in the first century, then they're seeing God just appear multiple times in the Old Testament. Theos, 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 theos. Angels are being called gods. Individuals are being called God. And so how would they be able to differ or see the distinction? They wouldn't. You understand? If they were using the Greek Septuagint. But for us, in our Hebrew language, there's multiple words for God. There's Allah. There's Elohim. You understand? There's a divine name that we have specifically for the Most High, the Tetragrammaton. You understand? But go ahead.
The book of Exodus chapter 7 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
Right. And so we see right here the Most High is making Moses a god. And as we read before in Deuteronomy chapter 33, that's in reference to what? A position of power and authority, right? So now I think this was a good class. You know, I think this was a good class. This was a good point for us to stop. We went through some good information. Hopefully next time we go into this topic, we can touch into more points on why these people absolutely was not quoting the Greek Septuagint, and it was actually an abhorrence. There's even a point where our people in the first century considered you speaking Greek was like eating swine. You understand? You speaking Greek was like eating swine. You know, it was an abhorrent thing. So it wouldn't make sense that our people were so happy to see this thing happen. You understand? So with that, I want to say bye Shem, Amasiak Yahushai, the water, the Yad, Aman. Let's clap it up.
Amen.
For the time, all praise to the Most High. We went into a lot of good points on this. I would love to return to it. And then the next challenge will be going into the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Masoretic text, the Textus Preceptus, the Codex Sinaiticus. And then we can circle back and go into the historicity of the Apocrypha, right? When it was taken out the Bible and all of that. And why we should be reading the Apocrypha. But beside that, let's rise and face the east. With the blowing of the shofar, we'll begin the prayer. Hey, hold on. Where's this thing at? There you go. Hold on. Hold on. Salaki, put on the prayer. Daughter.
Hallelujah. Psalms 133. Repeat the Hebrew. Shayar, Hamalawath, Laduad, Hana, Ma, Tawab, Wama, Nalyam, Shabbath, Akyam, Gum, Yakud, Kashaman, Hatawab, Al, Harash, Yarad, Al, Hazakwan, Zakwan, Aharon, Shabayard, Al, Paya, Bariwathiwa, Katol, Kayaramran, Shirad, Al, Haraya, Tazawan, Kaya, Sham, Tazawa, Yahweh, Ath, Habaraka, Kayayam, I, Hamala, but I will
I will.
There you go. Bahashem,
Hashem,
Hamashiach,
Hamashiach,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
the water,
the water,
from Yod,
from Yod,
Aman.
Aman. The book of Psalms, chapter 133, verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments. As the dew of Hermon, as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Yahweh commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. By Hashem, Amasak Yahushai, the water from Yod, Aman. Clap it up.